Hey everybody, welcome back to the workshop. Let me grab my apron, hold on. Yo. Hopefully everybody can hear me. I have two fans running. I tried to keep them low and far away so it wouldn't mess with the sound because it's really hot here today and I don't have an air cooling system in here. So anyways, it's good to be back. I took a little break just because I had a bunch of family stuff and life things that gets in the way. That's why, that's why it's hard to keep up sometimes. But here we are. We're back. And this is something I've wanted to do for a long time, but I hadn't really felt out exactly how I wanted to do it. And I'm glad you can hear me good. Okay. Hadn't felt out exactly how I wanted to do it. And since the Chinatown diorama is finished to the point of what I'm going to do live, I'm doing some other things to wrap it up still. And I'm recording those for other things. But that is wrapped up for now as far as what I'm going to present live. So we're going to move on to the next diorama. Duffman Dioramas, glad you're back. Channel member for 6 months. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for saying that. And we're going to do some things in this diorama, this alien outpost diorama idea that I had here, that you've never seen me do on this channel before. And we're going to do some combinations of things you've never seen me do on this channel before. Star Marvel 76 has been a channel member for 17 months, and he says, "Man, time flies. Sci-fi adventures underway." Yes, indeed. And Star Marvel, I saw the beautiful, beautiful cyberpunk helmets that you painted with the brain seeing through, like the clear acrylic shield that you did, and those look awesome, by the way. So yeah, we're going to be making something that's in the vein of that sci-fi love. And so just as an overview, what I want to do is we're going to do some pre-show work. We're going to do some things ahead of time first instead of doing them later, because I've been doing some of this live stuff sort of backwards of how I would do it if I wasn't doing it live, just for the presentation aspect of it and doing it in an order. So what I mean is we're gonna prep some items and things to use later because they're gonna take time to dry and they take some prep time. And then we're gonna work on building out features of the diorama, like things that are gonna be placed into it. And then we're gonna work on the actual landscaping at the probably last, and then integrating everything at the end. So we're gonna be making like objects and filler pieces and accessories and the wall. I'm going to do like a wall or a facade. I haven't decided if I'm going to do two or what, but we'll kind of figure that as we go. And my idea for this diorama was, I said alien outpost, but really what I was envisioning, and I don't mean for this to be comedic, but it might end up being a little comedic, was basically like, you know how you're going on a road trip and, you know, every 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever, depending on where you're going, there's a rest stop. You know, usually it's just restrooms, or it's restrooms in a gas station or a snack shop, or there's a roadside stand. For me, I was thinking this could be a fun sort of rest stop for aliens traversing the galaxy. Like, it's like there's like a gas station or things that resemble sort of gas pumps, but for like cyber fuel or something like that. And maybe like a facade to a building that's like either like a restaurant or a bar or a little quick stop, but the alien outpost version of that, you know. And again, not really in a comedic way, but just as an excuse to create something new. I thought that would be a fun idea. So I pulled out some of my random junk, which you saw in the thumbnail, which I'm going to try to incorporate all that and probably a lot more into this diorama as cool shapes and features, because I have not featured a lot of working with found objects, which is actually my roots. A lot of what I've done my whole life with doing miniatures and props and dioramas was taking other objects and making other objects out of those objects, using my Obtainium, which is stuff I've obtained over time. So I want to dig into that with you guys for this diorama especially, and then build the landscaping around that out of scratch materials to sort of integrate the whole world. So that's kind of what I'm going for with this build, and we'll go over what I picked and stuff like that. But before we even do that, I want to get into some of the things that I featured. I just shared on my Instagram story. We're going to be using some fabric dye for some of this prep work and some stuff you've seen, but some different ways of approaching it. And I want to get into that first, and I got some cool little nipper scissors that I want to use for part of this because it should be a little bit easier on my hands and faster. I saw some other members' chats here. Let me go back and look at those. New Future Customs has been a member for 16 months. Thank you so much, man. You get me. New Future Customs, by the way, if you're not following him on Instagram, he makes some really, really incredible stuff, and I can see where some of the things that we've talked about on the channel have definitely at least helped move you along, and you've done even better than that. So I love seeing what you're making, man. And yes, time does fly far out. Let's see. What do we got? Troy Dodson, who's been a member for 15 months. Thank you again, Troy. Hello there. Remember happy accidents. Yes, most of what we do is a combination of learning from happy accidents. Yeah, so I've got all kinds of things. This is a this is from a condenser unit, scrap piece of condenser unit. This is a metal wire that I had that I picked up, and I have this what is this for? Coolant or like refrigerant type stuff wire that I've had sitting around. Oh, and I'm going to be putting lighting in this diorama live with you guys. We're going to put some lights in. I haven't decided exactly how much of what yet, but I have some ideas for alien world lighting. Some that I've used before on my Oilers Workshop steampunk exosuit costume that I'm going to incorporate into this diorama, as well as stuff you see me do before in the Bat Cave, some of the concepts, and we're going to apply some of those to this. So you're going to see a lot of stuff I've never demonstrated live, a lot of stuff I've never done, and some different takes on this stuff. So I'm going to try to do this diorama in like less than 5 streams if possible, or 5 streams or less if possible, and not drag it on forever. So we'll see how far we get. Wishful thinking. But we'll see what we can do. I figure 15 to 16 hours, that's about 5 streams or less. Seems realistic for what I want to do, especially with having a clear vision in my head. I notice when I make it up as I go along entirely, it really can drag out, which is fine. It's a lot of fun to do that, but obviously it's funner to kind of get through it and move on to a new theme. So we're going to try that this time, see how it goes. And thank you to all the new channel members too, by the way. I see you guys out there. I know some of you guys can't get here for a live stream and you're watching in the future times. And if you are watching in the future times, any of you, thank you for being here. Leave a comment below. Tell me what you think. Thanks for being here. See everybody saying hi to everybody in the chat. My finger is right in front of my camera, sorry. And I'm changing my whole back wall. This is the beautiful sign that Bearded Builds made for me. And I'm gonna be hanging that probably adjacent, what is that? In contrast on the other side of Princess Leia, and redoing my back wall with less things that are just collectibles and more things that are just me as a maker and a person, and my history of inspiration to art and things that I can talk about in videos that would be maybe more fun to like showcase and do with all of you. So I'm working on changing all this as I have time, which means I don't have time, but I got it all cleaned off pretty much. I kept that stuff and I've got some other things over there. But anyways, if you see the different back wall, that's what that's all about. Yes, Star Marvel, I am keeping this O, and I think Star Marvel knows the story behind this O. I found this O in the dumpster, but that's not even the real story behind this O. This actually belonged to a famous celebrity, and I found out like 6 years after I dug this out of the dumpster. And I have a video coming up that I'm going to be filming and making hopefully later this year that talks about the celebrity, where this O came from, and something I am making for somebody who worked with that celebrity. So anyways, that's a whole other thing. But this O, I didn't know any of that. I just dug this out of the dumpster because I thought it was cool. Found out it belonged to something, to someone for something, and I'm helping someone with another thing that's related to that thing. So I'm going to film that whole process when I get around to it, which I haven't started yet. But I have the thing over there, and I'm going to be making that. And that is going to be a really cool demonstration for all of you. Another thing you've never seen me do on this channel, but I'll be doing, and I'm going to make a recorded video out of that first. So channel members will get first access to that, as I try to do for them whenever there's a non-toy review video. I try to make sure they can see that first for a while until we share it with everybody. So that'll come for them down the road. So anyways, let's talk about some of these pieces that I got to include into this diorama here. Come on. There we go. Okay, all kinds of stuff here. So you may recognize these pieces if you are a Star Wars collector. My phone is really hot already, which is concerning me. Hopefully it can last the stream without overheating. But these pieces are from a droid ship, or a droid from Attack of the Clones, I think. I took these apart on a toy that was broken that I found at Goodwill. and I thought these were beautiful little panel pieces. These are gonna be completely repainted, maybe modified a little bit too, parts added to them. We're gonna kind of kit bash these, but I was definitely gonna incorporate these, and I was thinking at least these two would look really good as toppers to my sort of cyberpunk gas pumps. Or refueling stations. I was going to use these maybe as toppers or little like sort of sunshades or moonshades or wherever we are in space. Vulture droid, Maurice has got it. That's the word. I couldn't think of the word. Yeah, these are from like a vulture droid. So I pulled these apart because the rest of the toy was broken. I thought these would look great in some type of sci-fi diorama later. Thank you to the Lucasfilm employees who designed these shapes for us. So I've got a bunch of these pieces from a Vulture Droid. This is some Lego pieces that I had. I may or may not incorporate these. Sometimes I feel weird incorporating Lego pieces because I feel like to Lego collectors, they'll be able to spot it. And I don't like when people can tell what things are. I like to try to integrate it. So I have these two pieces as well. I had an old charger, 18-volt charger for drill batteries for some drills that I used to use at work. And I stopped using those drills, and the charger casing cracked because it fell down. So I took apart that charger casing, and I saved these. These are what the batteries would slide onto, and there were the contacts right in here, and that's where it would charge. And so I thought these looked like really, really cool detail pieces for a spaceship or a door or a whatever. So we'll see if I use these or how I use these. But these were a great part that I saved. This is a little bracket for mounting a blind to the wall. I have a few of these. I may use this, I may not. This is like a signal or a power distribution little board here where you would plug in your socket and you'd send all the different signals or power out to different places. I would pull the screws out of these and like put wires or pipes, so we may or may not use that. I don't know. I just pulled out these pieces. They're kind of like inspiration pieces, if you know what I mean. A lot of interior designers and decorators will find certain pieces that them and a homeowner both like when they're helping them decorate, and they'll use those as sort of anchors to kind of design out from. Like they'll pick things with colors and shapes and textures that they really like, and then they use those and kind of theme the house or the room around that inspiration piece. That's really what I'm doing here with this diorama. These right here, this is the nose to a water gun I got at Hobby Lobby. So this is a water gun where you pump it back and it sucks up water into the tubes, and then you push the water out. This is the front of that, and then that broke after about 10 uses because I gave it to my nephew who destroyed it. But thanks to him, I was able to get some Obtainium from it, and I pulled it apart, and these look like, you know, little power coupling station things, or like they could be like little interior curve details. You know, I always look at the angles on things too, because the different views you could create, you know, stacking things on top of one another. So I saved these just for something like this. These are a couple of spray paint caps. We'll see what I do with these. I've always loved this little detail right here on the side of a spray paint cap. I always thought if you like cut that out and put it into a wall or over a tube, or slice this in half and put a piece of PVC there, you could create some cool looking space columns or something. So I actually have a whole box of spray paint caps that I've saved. These are gears from the inside of a heavy duty roller shade. These are the gear. This is the brake, and this is the brake, and this is the gear housing that slides into the tube. And you take these apart and you've got all kinds of little details and vents and exhaust ports and whatever you want to do. You know, this type of stuff is great if you can like insert this into a wall like this and put a light back here and put smoke coming out of it, or go like this and, you know, put a, you know, a tube or something coming out of it. There's all kinds of cool things you can make with this. Putting a clear tube in here, you know, and lighting it makes it look like the tip of a lightsaber or something. You know, that's why I save these pieces. This is the type of stuff I used to do walking around stores like Twin City Surplus and Home Depot and different like Ace Hardware with my dad as a kid. I would stare at parts like these in the aisles and go, what could this be? What kind of sci-fi crazy weapon could I turn that into, you know? So that's where a lot of this comes from, and I know a lot of you guys do that too or have done that. It's a PVC coupling I got at Habitat for Humanity for 25 cents. It's another part of a roller shade gear. Some type of screw-off cap from like I think a sprinkler part or something like that. This is, I think, a bracket for mounting something. Oh no, this is part of a headphone. This is exterior of a headphone. This is where the jack went. And I pulled this apart. This is a clutch gear from a roller shade. This is what you saw on the thumbnail. So you'd have a beaded chain that would lie in here, and this would be around a gear, and you'd pull on this and it rolls up the shade. So taking apart, if you need parts like this, or you need Obtainium for your collection, like I've all the boxes and boxes of this that I have a video coming up, by the way, talking about some of my Obtainium collection that the channel members have already seen. But if you need parts like this, or detailed mechanical looking things like this, whenever you have an old electronic item that's broken, instead of throwing it away, get a screwdriver, open it up, and pull parts out. That's where a lot of this stuff comes from. You know, if you have a broken little stereo, or even if you're at a yard sale and you see something that you don't want, but it's like $2, like a old Iowa 3-piece stereo kit, and they want $5 to just get it out of their hands, buy it for $5, take it home and spend an hour tearing it apart. You'll get boxes of this kind of stuff. So if you need to find parts like this, that's one quick way to get stuff like that. Garage sales, dumpsters, your own trash. You know, pull stuff apart with a screwdriver, and don't be afraid to cut it up with a knife, because you never know when you might need it. I have no idea what this is. I actually just saw this on the ground and I was like, that's cool. It's translucent. So I could like put stuff around this and light it up and have a blue glowy thing, you know, or use this as a window or a shield on a vehicle. You know, these are the types of things, like I see this and I'm like, this is broken. Whatever this is being used for is now no longer usable, but this is great for someone like me. Couple more pieces here. So these were 2 of the tubes for that water gun, right? There was 4 tubes, I think, or 5 tubes. I saved them all. I'm going to use 2 of them. And these are going to be like, I'm going to put something inside of these to make them glow like a lightsaber. I'll show you guys how to do that. It's actually very, very easy to do in a simple way. I'm going to use these as like standing glowing light up tubes on my recharging stations. So you can do this with any type of clear acrylic or clear pieces. You can even buy clear PVC, or not PVC, clear acrylic tubing from different manufacturing websites in different colors, higher quality if you want. But I literally bought this water gun at Hobby Lobby, I think for like $9. And I got like 5 of these tubes and 2 of these and other parts that I'm not going to use in this diorama. You know, so it's like, again, if you just need parts, go somewhere and buy a couple of cheap items you don't mind tearing apart and destroying, you know. I have this little container full of different parts I've saved over the years too, just to show you a couple things. There's like, these are more complex roller shade parts. There's a lot of objects that have rotational features are great to pull gear looking things out of. A couple of Lego pieces in there. Here's a little electronic plug where you would plug in an AV cable. I pulled that off of some device. I don't remember the device I took apart. This is from a Nerf gun. I pulled this out of the inside of a Nerf gun. This is another blind gear. Let's see. Just give an idea of the type of stuff that I save. Here's some gears from a cheap plastic clock. This is from a spirograph. This is a gear from a spirograph. Those old things where you stick a pen in and rotate and it draws a cool spiral pattern. These were like little plastic washers from some plumbing kit. Some more Nerf gun parts. This is a little circuit board. I don't remember what this is from, but I broke it off. Little things like this make great little panel details if you need like a little beep boop beep keypad. I've used this before. Actually, on my thumbnail picture or my avatar picture for YouTube is my face in one of my miniature sci-fi hallways I made. And for the door panels, I cut out rectangles off of circuit boards like this, and I spray painted them like a gray, and then I did like some highlight dry brushing over them, and then I painted some of them to look like red and blue buttons and glued those into the foam wall. Perfect little keypads, stuff like that. Oops. Let's see. What else we got? Okay, some other circuitry. So these are for these motorized roller shades, these would go inside of the motor side of the housing, and the motor tube would go through there, and these are like, you know, cement donut shaped circuit boards. So again, you paint these up, you know, they don't look, once you paint these up, they don't look like circuit boards at all. They look like hyper detailed little thingamajiggers. So I have these little cool little, I don't know what, oh, these are the the plug-in jacks. These are the jack-ins from probably more headphones or electronics that I saved. And, you know, you just pair those up next to each other and glue them together. Whoops. Hello. Where'd it go? It disappeared. Oh, there it is. Okay. You pair these up, you know, and glue them together. They've even got these little wires that look like a little wick. You know, you got yourself a little sci-fi grenade or like a little pack to put on a the back of this a shoulder for like a dude, so they have a little power cell, or you can put these on a little, you know, a gas station, like little fuel cells, or it can even be little canteens, like, you know, all kinds of cool stuff you can make out of that. And I think this is just, there's some plumbing washers and from like a dollar store toy, you know. So yeah, I have boxes and boxes of this stuff. I pulled out some stuff that I knew I would probably be willing to use. These are motor mounts for blinds, blind motors that go inside of a blind. I took these apart, and these are the electronics boards for those, you know. So I was thinking of using these as the main structure for my pumps, and then putting this tube through them, and then creating some type of housing on the backside, and then this tube will be lit up, so a glow will come out from the sides and the top. So anyways, that's all the kind of parts that I pulled out. And that was my intention, idea. It'll probably change 1,000 times as we go, like exactly what we do with these parts. But that's just the sort of idea for how I think. Oh, by the way, like these little communication cables that come with these small electronics, you might think this is useless, but if you look on that, you see those lines in that cable? That's a texture there. You can feel that. That's not just printing. So if you were to like wrap this around, just for an example, let's see. If you were to wrap this around like a cylindrical object, like this, right? And cut it so it was straight and then paint it, you'd have all these beautiful fine textured lines going around it, so you can add more detail to an object. So just being willing to look at these little things and realize they're not just trash, saving them and then rediscovering them later is one of the greatest joys that I experience as being a creative person, especially when I make like my steampunk art or my armor and my costume stuff. This stuff is very handy. So let's get to the first skill that I want to do today, which is a couple things here. So the first thing I want to do is I want to dye, because I want to create an alien landscape later after we build these details and accessories. And with that, I want to create some alien landscaping materials, right? So you could just use regular rock and paint it, which I will probably do some of that, and you could sculpt your own rock like we've done before with floral foam or XPS foam or styrofoam and coat it. I want to see if I can do something I've never tried before, and I've never seen anyone do it. I'm sure people probably have, but I feel like it's probably doable, and I want to dye some kitty litter. Since kitty litter is meant to be absorbent, my theory is that I can dye it. I imagine it will come out a much lighter color than the wash that I create for it, but this is unscented plain kitty litter that you've seen me use before for diorama rock detail that you can crumble and make smaller or use big. I want to dye some kitty litter to create some alien rock. And another quick tip, if you want to, you could go to the aquarium store or the fish store and get some aquarium rock if you don't want to go through trying to control the color you want it to be. In my case, I want to control the color. I want my alien landscape to have these 3 tones with blacks and grays and maybe even some silvers in there. And to contrast these sort of green light tones and maybe purple light tones that I'm going to use on the building features and stuff like that. So this was just the color scheme I want to go with, but you could go just buy fish tank rock that's in the color you like, and you already have an alien looking rock, you know. So if you want it, you can start with that and build on that, put washes over it, but we're going to actually dye this rock. And I think what I want to do, I wanted to do purple grass, so we're going to save this for grass. I wanted to do I think blue rock, and I think I was thinking pink moss. So we're going to save these dyes for different things, and we'll see how they turn out. I might change my mind after I see the way they turn out, but I want to get some of this fabric dye in here. Let me put down some protectant. And I'm going to get some gloves out because this stuff will dye your hands for like a few days. So Maurice Phillip has picked up aquarium gravel to mix into some spackle to make a road surface. Excellent, excellent idea. Star Marble, is that synthetic dye? I don't know. I didn't even look. Probably. Salt and surfactants. I don't know if it's synthetic or not. I mean, I don't know what the difference between synthetic and non-synthetic dye would be. It probably is. It's RIT dye, so I would imagine it's a synthetic dye. Troy, I have not bought a mini table saw yet. I want one. Actually, I want a mini chop saw and a mini drill press. I have means of doing those things other ways now, but those would be convenient. I just haven't really desired to drop the money on one yet, but I will. Let me grab some gloves. Okay. And guys, 21 likes with 35 of you in here. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. I know it's been a couple of weeks since I've been live. Just kept having things get in the way, and unfortunately that's just the life that I live. That's what we do. So I will always be here as often as I can for you. Continuing to edit videos. I have like 9 videos in the editing bay, and as they get done, I share them with the channel members and then release them to everybody. And I will continue to work like this as I have time. Sometimes I have time for more, sometimes I have time for less, but right now I have time for a little bit more. So here we are. And thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate that. Oops. Let me get a drink of water. I was smart and decided to take some of my emergency water that I have over here and bring it over here so I could get water when I needed it. Because I have a habit of always running to my bathroom sink here at the shop. And number one, that's not really good water to work with this stuff. I mean, it works, but it's not ideal. Filtered water or distilled water is better for projects because you can control what it does better. And you don't have to run back and forth to the bathroom. So let me put some more in here. For this, probably not going to use a ton. Maybe feel like we'll try like roughly half full and see what that looks like. Do. Okay, yeah, Star Marble. Yep, so we're going to be dyeing some synthetic and hemp fiber later, as well as sawdust. So this will work right for that, but this is a test on the kitty litter. The kitty litter is a natural material. The RIT dye is all-purpose. I still think I will get a color out of it. I just don't know how rich it's going to end up. So this will be a test. I'll probably have to do a few of these tests, honestly, to get used to the dye. So... And I know this dye, I mean, this stuff is designed to be put into like a washing machine with a white shirt, so, or doing tie-dye with. So I'm putting this straight up dye in here. Ooh, oh man, that looks pretty. So I don't know how much to put, so we're gonna do a test. We're just gonna see. I put in about, what was that? I didn't really measure. I probably should have measured that. Oh well. We're winging it right now. Okay, you can see the stick through it, so it's not that deep. It's, let's see, it's getting a little bit of a popsicle-y stick color from the sickle on the popsicle stick. So I'm going to put a little bit more because this kitty liver's pretty absorbent. So I want it to be pretty dense. Man, I want to drink it. It looks like delicious blueberry Gatorade or something. Don't drink dye. Okay? Don't do it. No. Okay. Just gonna probably, let's see, maybe I'll put this on a piece of paper. Should have grabbed a scoop. I don't know where my scoop is. Just gonna do, here, let me back this up so you guys can see better what I'm doing. Just to direct it in. It's a test. It may not even work at all. I don't know. But we'll find out. Let's see here. And I'm gonna basically encase this and leave this probably for a couple of days to see how this turns out, you know. I'm sure it will change its color, but I don't know how much. So we'll find out. If I need more dye, I'll pull it out. And if it, after the end of a couple of days, and look at a little bit of it, see what it looks like. If it doesn't look like if it looks like it's dying, but it's not taking that much of the color, I'll just add more dye to the water and see if that changes it. So hopefully by the next time we do a stream in 2 weeks, I'll have a clear answer for you on if it's going to work or not. I'm always trying to look for ways to control the color rather than having to work entirely with pre-made stuff. Control the color, control the texture, because when you have complete and total freedom over what you're doing, then you have the freedom to create what you really want instead of being bound by stuff that's pre-made. So like aquarium rock, like it's a great option and you can do a lot with it, but I'd like to be able to like pick my own color, you know what I mean? Or make my own color specific to an idea I had. So, you know, we'll see. So I'm sure there's aquarium rock out there that I could find that already works. Like that's already looking like it's accepting the dye. So let me just, I'm going to probably fill it up to where it's about 1.5 inches below the line. So I'm going to fill it up some more. I'll get a close up too here before I take this off camera so you guys can see it to what I'm seeing here. All right, that's probably enough. So as you've seen me do the basic grass, making your own flock, you know, it's not really full-on threaded grass, but I'm going to show you actually how to do that right now. After this, I'm going to show you how to make your own grass. I'm going to be making purple grass, but you could do the same thing with green and yellow and cornflower or whatever colors you want to do. So I've shown you guys, I have a video on flock, which is a video a lot of different channels have done. It's not something that's new to me or anything by any means, but it is something that I wanted to show people who were coming to my channel, so the video was available for them to see. So if you want to go get a reminder on how to turn sawdust into basic miniature flock or terrain or ground cover in any color you want, there is a full tutorial on that using acrylic paints and water, and it works great. I'm going to do this one with dye because I want to get a richer color out of it, and that I can get a more otherworldly, richer color out of it. I feel like if I try to go with a purple or a pink flock with this diorama and I use the purple and pink paints, I feel like it's not going to be as rich as I want it to be. That's why I decided to try a dye this time. I could be wrong. You know, I've gotten very, very rich greens, but I think because of the way that green pigments are mixed, it just works better with a green. I feel like it's not going to work as good with a purple or a pink. I could be wrong, but that's just my intuition of years of making telling me I shouldn't do it that way. Maybe I'll try it later for posterity, but not for right now. So for 3D printed stuff, which dye works best? Are you asking me or are you asking Star Marvel? I saw you guys talking about that. I don't know about 3D printing stuff. I have not dyed a 3D print. So if you're asking me, I definitely don't know the answer to that. I'm sure there is stuff that works great, like alcohol dyes, because, you know, I know alcohol can be used to mess with different types of resin, but Star Marvel is definitely going to be the guy who knows more about that. I see he's answering you in the comments. Thank you, Star Marvel. I saw Star Marvel doing some really cool stuff with fabric dyes and figure bodies. So this is already looking really cool. So check it out. So in the water, it actually looks kind of white up against the wall, the glass. But if you take it out, that actually looks really blue already. We'll see how it does though. So I'm going to leave it in here to soak up. And then I'm going to probably have to pour this out onto a pan and let it dry. And when it dries, it's definitely going to lighten up from this. So this has only just been in here for a few minutes. And look at the variation too you get in there. There's a lot of variation. All that kitty litter was probably bleached or something, you know, with some type of white chalky bleach type thing. But that's why, but you're getting variation in there. It was different mixtures of stuff. So I've got, I don't know, I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I don't know, maybe 10 different shades of blue in this, which is great, which is what I want because that makes it look more natural. That's why I wanted to try this dyeing method with kitty litter, because I thought I would get something more natural looking rather than aquarium rock that's going to look, it's going to look otherworldly, but I feel like it's going to look, I don't know. I got to go look at aquarium rock again. It's been a while. So I probably will use some too. I might even go grab some for this diorama for something I don't want to reveal just yet that I'm going to do. I might go grab some specific types of aquarium rocks to add to these rocks, but I'm not going to say what that is just yet. I don't want to give it away. I want it to be a fun surprise. Some of you probably could figure it out, but there's a feature I want to put in here that some aquarium rock might actually work good for. So, not sliced peaches. I know this is not the most exciting thing to watch, but this is why we're doing it at the beginning, so you don't have to watch me do it later. You can just watch me glue this down later and add it and design the terrain. So, and I didn't mention it at the beginning, but this diorama is going to be inspired and made, hopefully it will look good, with the Cosmic Legions figures that I ordered that are, I haven't gotten my shipping notification yet. I know a lot of people, you know, I was like trying to decide which figures I wanted, so I'm probably somewhere in the middle batch of orders. So I don't even know if I'll get my notification for another week, but I wanted this to be designed around those. I have been watching the company Four Horsemen Studios for a long time now, because they make those beautiful Mythic Legions figures, the knights and the elves and all that. But I don't really collect fantasy stuff. I'm not opposed to like knights in armor. I love that. And as a kid, my buddy, I used to be super jealous of my buddy Jake, who had this enormous collection of like metal die-cast knight figures, and he had entire armies, and he'd have them fight on the living room floor. And I'd go visit him in Colorado during the summer, and we'd have big like medieval battles on his bedroom floor. It was the greatest thing ever. I'm more into that probably because of the nostalgia of that, and I'm just not, you know, into really fantasy these days. It's just not my thing. But I like the beautiful quality of the way they design those figures. I love the way they look. And I always said, if they ever do like sci-fi, I'll get some. And then they finally did it. So I didn't order the entire first wave. I ordered like a little over half of it, I think. I wanted to make a diorama that those guys could fit in. And I wanted to do some photography. I wanted to do some shooting, because sci-fi is my first real love when it comes to making anything. And those figures look great. And so I ordered a bunch of the second wave. And then I didn't order anything from the third wave because I wanted to see how I felt about the first wave when I got it. And if I liked it, and if I got it and I liked it, I would order some more. But anyways, those are coming. And hopefully by the time this diorama is done, I'll have those figures, or vice versa. And then we can see what they look like in the piece together. Live on stream. So anyways, I feel like this is probably going to need more dye. That's the vibe I'm getting from looking at this. But let me just close this up and set this aside somewhere it's not going to fall, and just see if I can maybe shake it a little. There we go. Probably should have just done this, but I was talking. Look at that. Delicious blue rocks. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, I feel like more dye is going to be needed, but we'll see what it looks like. Set this aside for later. Okay, on to making purple grass. And let me plug my camera back in, because reasons. Okay. All right. Put this aside. And let's move on to the purple grass. So you've never seen me make grass. This is like static grass type grass. I'm going to make it with this hemp twine or twine. It doesn't really matter if it's specifically hemp, but this stuff will create a static charge which you could use with static grass or static grass applicator, which I have never done on this channel either. And I have not used the one that I had in a long time, and I don't even know where it is. So I'll probably have to buy a new one when we do this, because I plan on doing this on this diorama. I want alien grass. So I'm going to mix up a batch of alien grass. And I think I want to trim this off and do a little tray here. So let me grab this tray over here. Send the word over here. Okay. This is a tray I used recently to mix up some grout that I haven't cleaned, but it's dry, so it shouldn't affect what we're doing. Star Marble, yes, it can. Star Marble, do you want to know how to figure out if a figure has multiple types of plastic? Use a black light. So I figured this out on accident. I bought this black light years ago when I was making something for a diorama, and this is a black light flashlight that you can get off Amazon. And I took, I was looking at different things under the black light to just see what I could learn. And I took the Hoth Princess Leia Black Series figure. And let me just, I don't think I have her around, but I put the black light on her, and you could see the black light react completely differently to her, like her crotch area and her jacket and her elbows and her joints and her head all reacted differently to the black light. That means it's made of different types of plastic. So you can tell what plastic is the same by using a black light to see how the black light refracts inside and off the plastic. Just a little tip, something I figured out. It won't tell you what chemical it is, but it will tell you that they're different. Okay. So this is just twine. So what we're going to do is use these little nippers and, whoops, and of course it's going to fly everywhere. And I am just going to nip off a bunch of grass at different heights here. Let me do a longer piece here. And this is going to take a minute, but that's what it's all about. Actually, I could probably do this a little faster if I folded it. That's what it's all about. You get your thingy there, you put the other thing there. You do a thing over here, and the thing ends up a thing. All right, I don't know how much of this I'm gonna cut. I don't wanna have like huge patches of this, so I don't need a ton of it. I'm just gonna use it as like accent. And keep in mind, when you add this to water, it's going to unravel into a bunch of fibers. So you see one chunk here, but once you add this to the water, it's gonna like whoop, and like you can roll it out into bigger pieces. And then when I dye this, even if I dye it like it is, I can unroll it into separate fibers. So like if you go like this, I don't know if it's gonna work with my gloves on, but yeah, you see this? It just explodes with fibers. All those fibers are gonna be individual grass, pieces of grass. So you don't need an insane amount of this unless you wanna create a stock of it for your own personal library of grass for dioramas. And it's flying everywhere. But I'll probably do maybe 2 or 3 times this, just so I have some to work with. And if you wanted to get really precise, you could make sure you cut this at a specific length every time. If you get really good at eyeballing a length, so you can create 1/2 inch grass, 1/4 inch grass, 1 inch grass, or like 1/2 centimeter grass, 1 centimeter grass, to incorporate gradations of grass into a piece. And also, you don't even have to use a static grass applicator to get this on to make it look cool. You can just literally sprinkle it on, and it looks great that way too. You can just lay down some Mod Podge or some type of acrylic glue and sprinkle it on, and then spritz it with the water, like all the train set guys use, water Mod Podge mixture or water PVA glue mixture, like 50-50, and then you can spray it with some alcohol to get it to thin out and dry a little quicker, or you can just leave it depending on the look you want, and that'll kind of glue it in place without it falling all over. So you can do that. But I don't know how far I'm going to go on that. I'm probably just going to glue it down, and I don't know if I want to use a static applicator on or this or not. I think I will, because I'd like to show more stuff that I haven't done yet on the channel or live. So I'm trying to come up with diorama ideas for things I haven't really shown yet or haven't done in a long time, or ideas that I have not done or have been wanting to do, and try to combine them into one dio so that it'll be more fun for all of you guys, instead of just watching me, you know, make stone and bricks repeatedly, which is fun, but I don't necessarily want to always do that either. I'd like it to be creatively interesting for me too. 40 people in here and 29 likes. Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate that. Very, very much appreciated. Lets all the people know Oilers Workshop did not quit in June. He just had family responsibilities and things to do in life. All right. Oh, and just a reminder, the Vegas event that I went to back in February, I'm still working on a video review of that event, because I want to talk in detail about a lot of things that happened at the event, good things and things I learned while being a seller there and a sort of a presenter, and things I learned about the adjacent communities at that event, like the dollhouse community and the Barbie community and the diorama community and the maker community and just the miniature community in general. There's a lot of overlap there, and a lot of people might not think, ooh, I don't want to go to a dollhouse show. You'd be surprised how much stuff you'd see there that you'd probably want or want to know how to make for your own stuff. So anyways, my plan is to be going back next year. It's at the very end of February next year in Vegas at a bigger location this time. They're expanding. And it's called IMOMA. The website is imomalv.com. That's imomalv.com if you want to check it out. Tickets are on sale now. And if you want to go and sell your items, you can. I will definitely say it's more of a trade showy vibe or a show-offy vibe, and more of a advertise yourself vibe for maybe the photography community. I'm going to be reaching out to some people too to get them incorporated into the event. I'll probably be teaching a class this time, sort of like one of my live streams, but in person for people, and I will be giving supplies and tools to those people. I haven't decided what to do yet, but I'm going to be speaking to a lot of people who've never made a diorama before or have never worked with foam before. So I'll probably be showing how to make like a brick wall with a sidewalk, so people can do like exteriors on their doll houses and stuff like that, as well as introduce them to the diorama community and advertise some of the people that I know and what I do. So I will probably be doing that. I'll be bringing the tiny art experiment back. They've asked me to bring it back. And I talked to the other makers who contributed stuff to that, and several of them were interested in making more, but I just haven't really had time to think about it, to be honest. So maybe we'll make some more for that, maybe not. Maybe I'll just make a different setup for it. That might be all I have time to do, to be honest. But we'll see. They want to bring that back, and they're thinking about bringing some of the local fingerboarding scene there, because that's miniatures as well. And there are guys that make actual cement and wood stuff for their fingerboarding, and they'd want to maybe be there to incorporate that part of it with all the other contributors at the event. So should be fun. I learned a lot last year in a lot of different ways. My wife learned how to make a miniature leather couch. Oh, Metal John is going to be there. Metal John, if you look him up on Instagram, Metal John makes miniature 1/6 scale hyper real metal objects. Like, he actually makes like metal and glass sunglasses and metal replica like Blade Runner pistols and like metal tools like out of actual metal, and they look real. He's going to be there. He makes 1/6 scale metal accessories, so he'll be there. And so they've got some really cool people coming this year. So if you can make it to Vegas and it's convenient for you to just attend and go to a couple classes and stop by and say hi, my plan is to be there. And if you actually want to sell stuff or display, I would get a hold of the event coordinators, Cindy and Paris, or Lisa. You can reach out to them on Instagram or on the website, and they'll be happy to talk to you about it and answer your questions. Their plan is to grow the event to being a mini con. They want to be like Comic-Con. They want to be a mini con. That's what they're working towards. They know it's going to take many years. but they want to do that. I'm going to talk about that in my video review of the event too. They want to become a mini-con where everyone is welcome in every miniature medium. So it doesn't matter if it's somebody who makes miniature food, somebody who makes dollhouse, Venetian, Victorian clothing, somebody who makes Ninja Turtles dioramas, somebody who does fingerboarding, somebody who makes Hot Wheels displays. They want to include everybody and then eventually build towards seeing if, like, you know, the train set community and stuff would like to be a part of it. So they want to get everybody involved as they can. And right now they're kind of trying to welcome in and focus on people like you and me, people who are in the diorama and the toy collecting community who build their own stuff, because there is a ton of crossover with the audience they already have. And the audience they already have, I'm sure would love to learn a lot of the stuff that we know, and we would love to learn a lot of the stuff they know. So I'm going to talk about that in my video. So if it's something for you, then you should check it out. It should be a lot of fun. And Mrs. Euler's workshop will be there helping me sell my stuff and meeting people, and hopefully she'll want to take another class. Oh, she also took a class on how to make miniature books, and she made a bunch of miniature books, which, you know, it's not the most complicated thing in the world, but if you want to do a hands-on thing, they'll do it for you there. So I think that's probably enough. That's going to expand to be quite a bit, and I'm sure it's fun watching me do that. These are great little nippers. If you get these, you want to get really sharp ones. I have really non-sharp ones that don't work for anything. So if you get these, buy the expensive ones, because if you buy the inexpensive ones, they really may not get you what you need. So I don't even know what this does. Probably some kind of lock. I don't know. I have to look that up. I don't know what those do. Okay. All right. I am probably going to throw this in with the water so that these expand first, and then add the dye afterwards. So a little bit different than I did last time. So I'm probably just going to unroll these a little bit, and I'm probably going to take my gloves off for this because my gloves don't really let me grip the fibers very well. Just going to kind of expand these and twist these a little bit. Probably just do that. There we go. That opens them up quite a bit. There we go. Get them all fluffy. I'm not fat. I'm fluffy. 36 people and 35 likes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It alerts everybody. Grows the economy. Hurts nobody. I don't know if you guys have seen that reel sound going around. It's hilarious. I saw that one. People have been reusing that same idea, but they're like, that sound where, was it the president is saying, like, spend money, grows the economy, hurts nobody, in reference to, like, explaining to their wife why it was okay to just buy like $300 worth of new toys. Do not drink. So let me just see how much I need to stir this here. Getting a new clean popsicle stick. Let me just see how much this is going to expand here. Oh, it's expanding quite a bit. Okay. Good evening, everybody who's joining now. Thanks for being here. 37 likes and 36 people watching. 37 and 37. Yes. There we go. Yeah, see how that's pulling apart into this big fluffy mess? That's what you want. Because even when this dries, you can put this like between your hands and roll it back and forth, and it'll just flake out into a bunch of miniature grass. And think about when this is not wet and it's expanded and there's like air in between it, this is going to expand to be like a fluff ball about this big. Maybe that big. That big? That big? I don't know. Something like that. Maybe that big? I don't know. But it's going to expand and make quite a bit of grass. So if you wanted to make like a huge stock of this sort of static grass for your own future use and stock, you know, you could theoretically, you know, you could even do something like take this twine and take it onto like a bandsaw and just cut it off and, you know, cut it down the middle and slice it a bunch of times. Or you could do that and then like roll it between your hands and plop it into a mason jar and then fill it with water and shake it up. and then dye it and or use the acrylic paint version that I showed in my how to make flock tutorial, and make a big old batch of it, which is what I have. I actually have 2 mason jars and 3 Talenti ice cream jars full of pre-made flock. So I don't have to make some. And when I make that and I fill those up, I mean, I get like 2 years out of that. So I don't have to make it again. And I also don't have to go buy expensive flock on a regular basis. And, you know, it's always fun to like know how to do these things. So even if you don't need to do it and you can, you know, you're fine with just going and buying the pre-made flock. It's good to know how to do these things because it'll kind of help you inform how to do other types of things that are related to dyeing threads or using fabric or making grass later. So it's always good to learn to do the technique once. Would a coffee grinder work? Yeah, probably. I would worry that a coffee grinder wouldn't cut it because the stuff has got a lot of bend in it. But I would tell you, if you're willing to try it in your coffee grinder, or if you have one that you use for projects, or like go to Walmart or wherever, you can go buy like a $10 coffee grinder that you don't mind ruining, because when this stuff flies apart, it's very thin, and I wouldn't want it to like suck up into the side of your coffee grinder bowl and go into the motor and gum it up and lock it up or start a fire. So I would say go get a coffee grinder that you don't mind ruining, and maybe take a roll like this and slice it with heavy duty scissors into like 6 pieces, put it into a coffee grinder, keep it near a fire extinguisher and try it if you know what you're doing and you're confident. Otherwise, you know, that's just something to be mindful, but that's what comes to mind with your question. You know, I have not tried that, but theoretically I would just worry that the blades wouldn't actually cut it and they would just spin it like cotton candy and muck it up, because those blades are designed to break up a bean, not so much a thread. But it might work. I don't know. It just probably just depends on the torque of the motor and the sharpness of the blade. And as long as there's no place for the threads to like get into where the motor's heating up and like start a fire, you're probably fine. I would just worry about that. So, and I'm speaking from experience. I've made stupid mistakes like that with other types of things. So be careful. That just looks like what came out of the drain, baby. Look at that. See how much that expanded now? Yeah. Look at that static grass that's not grass colored yet. Fabulous. Troy Dodson says maybe a vegetable chopper. Yep, that might be a good one. Bjorn asks, what's good for 1/18 scale hay? This should work, honestly. Oh, you know what? You know what's perfect for hay? I'll tell you. Well, I don't have one here. Go buy a chip brush and just cut the bristles off the chip brush, or tie the bristles together with twine or whatever you want to be your baling material, and slice up off of a chip brush, and there's your hay bale right there. The hairs and stuff on a chip brush is like the perfect color for small scale hay. So you can use that as well. You could even use trimmed off chip brushes to make grass. It's just going to be not as wavy. It's going to be really stiff, but for hay, it probably would work great. So go grab a chip brush and cut off the threads and gather them together. You know, you might have to do a bunch of them or pack them into a tube is what I would do. If I cut off a bunch of chip brush heads of the brush, I'd get myself like like something like this, but smaller, like a PVC tube, and tape off the end and pack them in there, and then I would like take off the end and slide them out. And as I slid them out, maybe wrap some wire around it and bail them up, and then slide it out again, wrap some wire and slide it out. And then you've got a little bunch, something like that. Or you could make a little foam rectangle shape and glue it to the outside of the foam rectangle shape, so you can use less bristles and cover a shape. You could do it with a cylinder as well. Something to experiment with. I've seen these things done. I just haven't done that specific thing, but that's where my brain is going with your question. So I don't know if that helps you find a direction there. So, all right, let's add some dye and see how this turns out. Let me put down my little dye thing. Oh, Bjorn, for shipping crates. Oh, that's a good idea. Okay. You could try real hay and just shred it up. Or you could even try crinkled up like yellow paper. But I would go with, I would try the brushes first and see if that looks right to you with your scale. Just taking the chip brushes and slicing off the tips, the tips of the brushes, that might do what you want. So here we go. Purple grass. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. That looks weird, but cool. Oh, that might be enough dye for that. That actually might be too much. This is going to probably dye the plastic cup too. Probably should have put this, should have put this in a glass container, of which I don't know if I have any left. I probably do somewhere. Because it's going to dye the plastic too. As long as it doesn't leach out. Wow, yeah, that definitely accepted that dye. It's going to lighten up when it dries, but this is actually kind of what I was going for. One of the other reasons I wanted to use hemp too for this is because hemp is, the fibers are slightly translucent. They refract a little bit of light. And when I want to be able to put some lights on this, either lighting from outside of the diorama or direct lighting from a light source above. And I want them to refract light a little bit. I want them to refract light a little bit. I think it will make them, look more real, because typically real foliage, especially, there's hollow parts of some of it. Some parts are lighter and thinner, and it's going to have like a subsurface scattering like our skin does, like CG skin. Whenever they make really real CG skin, they create the skin texture to be able to like accept light and scatter like our skin does. We have the hypodermis, the dermis, and the epidermis. We have 3 layers of skin, and the first 2 layers of skin allow light to filter in, and the rest of the UV light that gets through disperses, and that's what hits us and helps create vitamin D and stuff like that. But you get light dispersion and it moves light through, and that's why whenever you like paint a hand on a solid action figure, it's hard to make the skin look hyper real because there is a certain amount of refracting light. Like you can see my veins here, they're very subtle, but you can see there's a bluish green tone coming through my skin. That's actually because of subsurface scattering and translucency going through my skin and scattering, and you can, the light, that color that's reflecting off of the, or the light that's reflecting off of my vein is coming back through my skin. So that's why it's very hard to paint that or simulate that. So I know a lot of artists will use wash techniques where they'll paint the skin colors and then they'll do like blue and green and red and even purple washes over the skin colors, because their very thin washes will settle onto the skin colors in a very, very subtle ways. And then they'll do like the flecking of like browns and reds to get the discoloration you get on skin for the capillaries and vessels and stuff like that. And then they'll seal it. And then that's how you simulate reality. But I'm trying to simulate reality with reality here and do the same thing. And that's why I wanted to use the hemp fibers instead of, like thread or string or pre-dyed stuff or plastic, because this will actually cause scattering of light in an inconsistent and more raw manner when it's dry. And oh, sorry. This was my whole reason for bringing this up. That's why I'm using dye. So that whole explanation, I was talking myself through it to try to remember, why did I do this? Oh yeah, I did this. That's why I'm using the dye. I'm using the hemp and I'm using the dye. Using the acrylic paint, it's gonna create a coating over the hemp. It's gonna stain the hemp, but it's gonna coat a coating over the hemp. It's gonna let less light refract. The dye, in my head, theoretically, should stain the hemp, thus still allowing light to get in and re-escape, allowing for refraction to make it look more realistic. And when you get more realistic looking grass that's also a purple, I feel like you have a more realistic looking alien world. So that was my thinking behind the dye this time, not just for the kitty litter, but also for this. So I've really been wanting to do some dyeing of color for a while. And this was the perfect diorama to do this on. So anyways, a lot of rambling, but hey, that's what you're here for, right? That's what I do. That's what I'm always going to do on these live streams, at least. Maybe not so much in the recorded videos, but so anyways, this probably doesn't need to stay in the dye very long. This probably could honestly just stay in the dye until like the end of the stream, and then I could pour it out, and I might even pour this liquid back into my dye because I'm probably going to be reusing this a lot. So I am going to set this somewhere where it will not spill. Purple, delicious purple. Looks like blackberry juice. And where is that going to be? That's going to be over here. Yeah, okay. So that might be ready to go by the end of the stream, where we spread it out and we kind of trowel it out so that it can just dry, and then it's re-crumbled up into its grass. So the next thing we're going to do, I'm going to use one of these, and we're going to make some fuchsia lichen or ground cover or moss. I'm done with this. And we're going to use sawdust. This is just sawdust from my shop. Whenever I do a wood project and this is enough to last me a couple of years at the rate that I use it. But whenever I do a wood project and I'm running low, I will just make sure my floor is really clean. I will do my wood cutting, and then I will sweep up that sawdust, and I will, sometimes I'll filter it through a mesh screen just to make sure there isn't any crud that's not sawdust in it, and I'll put it in a Ziploc bag so I can make more stuff as I need it. So, Maurice Phillip was thinking about dyeing some cotton wool to try to simulate something like Nightcrawler's teleport, but was wondering about it drying too stiff. Maurice, I think if you use actual dye, like we're using here, it shouldn't dry stiff. It should dry very unstiff. If you use acrylic paint, like I've done in other videos as a dye mixed with water, it probably will end up pretty stiff. But you can unstiffen it, but it will probably change the behavior of what you're using. I would think if you did that with like cotton balls or like batting material for like fabric stuffing or pillow stuffing batting or cotton batting, and dyed it with fabric dye, that's probably a good option. It's probably going to get flat though when you dye it with fabric dye and water, and you might need to refluff it anyways. So the acrylic paint's going to make it stick together. The dye theoretically should do less of that, if not that at all. So if you're going to experiment with that, I would say go get some dye. There's different dyes too. There's powdered dyes. You can go get ink dye too. You can for actual ink fountain pens. That stuff is very strong. I will probably use that eventually on something in a diorama, but I would explore that. That's an awesome idea, by the way. I don't think I've seen anybody do that. That's a cool idea. That is a very cool idea. I'd love to see how that turns out. Let me take a drink really quick. Hold on. Okay. That's not annoying. This one, I'm probably going to mix up. Okay, so actually I am. I'm going to mix up the dye first again, because this stuff, it will clump. If I pour it in there first and then I pour liquid over it, it's going to clump, and it's going to be hard to break up those clumps. So this is why I create the liquid first and add this to the liquid, and let this tell me when the liquid is absorbed. Daniel Wesley seems to know the answer to your question, Maurice Phillip, or one of the things I was talking about. So hit up Daniel Wesley. He may have experimented with these things more than I have. Okay. Where is a stick? Okay. Just getting another mixing stick. Was that the Superman villain, Mr. Mixing Stick? Just kidding. Mr. Mixelplick, I think is his name, but Mr. Mixing Stick. 38 people and 41 likes. Awesome. Thank you, guys. So water first and then dye, because if we do dye first, that might stain the plastic, and then I can't tell what color it is. So water first and then dye. that's about a little over half full, which I probably don't need that much. I'm going to pour some out of my drinking cup. Probably only need to go with like a third full. I don't need that much pink flock. That's about right. We'll go with that. Not to be confused with Pink Floyd. Pink Floyd. 44 likes. Thank you guys. I appreciate that. All right. On to the fuchsia dye. So again, this is all prep work for future things we're going to do on these streams. I'd rather do it now so it's just ready to go right away. Fratted Foo. This is spring water. It's spring water with no additives. Yeah, it's not distilled water, but it's not tap water because the tap water's got all this. It's going to have things like, you know, salts and fluorides and junk in it that could mess up what I'm doing. So I have a bad habit of using too much tap water, which it's fine, but I should get in the habit of using things like purified and distilled. So it's just basically purified water with no additives that I'm using. So, ooh, man, that looks like blood. Yeah. Yeah. Wow, that is like... We'll see how pink this turns out. I did want to go for a pink, so... Man, that looks like blood. All right, I'm going to add some more, though, because sawdust is crazy absorbent. I found that out when doing my first rounds of... When I did my first time I did my own flock with sawdust, I used what I thought was enough paint, and it was not even close. And my dark green grass came out like a pale yellow... Looked like the type of grass that a dog peed on 100 times and just ruined it. Okay, let's see here. I'm just kind of judging this based on when I kind of pull my my mixing stick out of the water, my Mr. Mixing Stick out of the water. How much of a meniscus that's clear that I think it's the meniscus is clear that I'm getting from the water. So if you guys know what I'm talking about, see that the water on the edge of my popsicle stick and how thin the water is there and how dense that looks in the center to how quickly it changes to a clear before not being part of that bubble of water anymore. The edge of that is called the meniscus, and I'm just seeing how big that is or how not colored that is. And basically, I'm just going by feel here. I'm just deciding if that looks like the meniscus is thin or dense or not dense or whatever. To me, this looks good. And so I'm just using that to judge how much dye is in this water as a feel for it, right? We're not doing like factory chemical measurements to make it consistent across the board for all of our products. I'm going by feel, but that's what I'm looking at. So if you're wondering what I'm looking at to judge, that's what I'm looking at. Looks like some excellent people in here talking about using dyes. I haven't used dye in a long time, so I'm just going off of what I remember and what my maker senses are telling me here. So I'm gonna grab my little thingy here that I use for the kitty litter to dump some of this in here. We'll give you the high ground. My finger in the shot here. It's too late. Sawdust Anakin, I have the high ground. Okay. So this is where you just got to add some and mix it, and then add some and mix it until it looks right to you. And this just takes a lot of mixing. Nothing to it other than just mix it up. Once we get these dyeing things done, we will switch to gluing together some of these cool parts and making my little intergalactic gas pumps. There we go. That looks like something out of a Fangoria magazine. Okay. Mixing sawdust. There's some weird stuff in the air. Okay. Daniel Wesley. I don't like sawdust. It's coarse and rough. And it gets everywhere. Oh boy. I think when I was making the Tank Trooper diorama and I was laying sand down, I said, instead of saying sand, I said, let's get our Anakin Skywalker repellent out. I think I want to do that. I want to take my jar of sand that I have set aside for dioramas and put a sticker on it and label it Anakin Skywalker repellent or Darth Vader repellent, something like that, or Sith Lord repellent. That'd be funny. All right, this is still, you'll know when you've got enough sawdust in here to when you're basically just mixing sawdust that's liquidy, and then you probably want to add a little bit more than that, because too much liquid, it's going to end up probably too dark, and too much sawdust, it's going to be a big giant clump of sawdust rock when it dries, and you don't want that. So yeah, this is going to be still going to be a big batch because this expands a lot. Once it's dried and then you crumble it up, this is going to expand because all the air in between everything to probably about to fill this whole cup up. So I'm going to get a big batch of pink sawdust flock, whether I want it or not. Maybe I could flock the inside of a model car with pink dust to make it look like it's like pink carpet or something. I actually have used this flocking method to simulate carpet. It works from a distance. It doesn't look like super amazing, but I made a cat tower. This company of the students in Korea who were learning how to do international marketing sent me a cat tower to build on my channel, which that video is on the channel if you want to go see it. The cat tower is not available from them anymore because it was just a student project, but you can still buy cat towers like that on Amazon that are made out of like laser cut MDF. And I made a light blue version of this sawdust. This looks like mashed berries. This looks like it make a good popsicle. I made a light blue version of this sawdust and I glued it with Mod Podge to the cat tower to make it look like it was covered in like a pale blue carpet. It turned out pretty good. If you get up really close, it doesn't look right, but from about 12 inches away or more, it looks perfect. And actually I ended up selling that at Minicon. When I went to the Minicon, I took it with me just to demonstrate some of the stuff I did on the channel. And this wonderful girl, she's actually, I think she's still a subscriber to my channel. She has a daughter who has a little kitty who passed away. And she wanted to find something. She was hoping to find something at the Minicon for her daughter to remind her of her kitty. And I had that cat tower and the two little toy cats that it came with. And she asked if that was for sale. And I was like, well, I wasn't thinking about selling it. And then she told me the story about her daughter. So I think I ended up just selling it to her for like $5 or something like that, just so she could have it. And she shared it with me on Instagram and tagged me. And it was her little gift to her daughter whose kitty passed away. So it went to a good home. But if you want to see how to do that, that video is on the channel. That never got any love. I don't know why. That video, nobody was interested in that. I guess people who come here are looking for, alien worlds and, destroyed robot stuff and Superman, urban Batman diorama stuff. Not so much kitty dioramas. But hey, I like it all. So I'm going to do what I like. And I'm glad I made it because it went to a lovely family so they could remember their kitty. Almost done here. We're getting to that stage here. We're getting the slushy, liquidy sawdust. And we want to get it just past that slushy stage to where it's wet, but it's not pooling too much. Like that's pooling a lot there. You can see that pooling. You don't want it to pool. That's how you know your dye and your liquid is spread evenly in the sawdust. So, or maybe you do. You can do what you want. Do what you want. Alien gas station versus kitty cat tower. New Future watched the video. He watched it. Daniel Wesley. That's funny. Thanks for being here, guys. 45 likes. Thank you guys so much. And for the 36 of you still watching, thanks for putting up with my crazy stories. Do. Chicken nuggets. I don't know. Daniel Wesley's talking about serving chicken tenders. And I just sang the McDonald's theme song, but I don't know if any of you guys eat McDonald's on the regular, but I think about once a year, I forget how badly my body reacts to McDonald's. Sorry, McDonald's. I'm not trying to badmouth you, but like something about the way you put your breads and your meats together, my body does not like. But about once a year, I go, oh man, I haven't had a sausage egg McMuffin in a long time. And then I go buy one and I eat it and I'm like, that was delicious. And then about 2 hours later, I'm like, oh yeah, that's why I don't buy these on a regular basis. Because I smell like rotten eggs for the rest of the day and my stomach is mad at me. So yeah, anyways, I don't know why I just thought of that, but I did. There's a fun story for you. Euler's digestive tract. Oh boy, I'm going off the rails today. Okay, look at that. Looks like now it's starting to look like red velvet cake. We went from blood to bloody guts, to mashed berry smoothie, to red velvet cake. So those are the levels of flock progression when you're making a fuchsia colored flock. All right, those are the official levels. Blood, bloody guts, berry shake, melting berry shake, to red velvet cake. Couldn't remember the last one. Those are the stages of red flock. This looks so delicious, but it's very toxic. All right. Almost done with this. And yep. Okay, let me get one of my trays to spread this out on, because this is one we can immediately spread out. As long as the dye is accepted by the sawdust. Sounds like a a share video. As long as the dye accepts the sawdust, a new flock will be born. We can spread this out immediately and let it start to dry, which it's a very hot day. It might even be dry by the end of the stream. We'll see. Let me get this out of here. Whoop! Oops. There we go. No bueno. Ugh, black pudding, that's gross. Okay, let me grab a metal tray here, or aluminum tray. I just use aluminum trays from the store. You can use baker trays in your oven. You can use whatever you want. Actually, don't do it in your oven unless you have a separate toaster oven you use for projects. 51 likes. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Aluminum war drum. Okay. Let me put this fuchsia dye over here. And I just use these, and I like the big sidewalls because it makes sure if I put it outside to dry in the sun, which I normally do, I might go do, I don't know. The wind doesn't blow any of it away as it dries. This has like an edge to it, so or at least it discourages the wind from doing that. And then you turn out your mix onto a baking sheet, and then you sprinkle your granola crumble over it, and put a little sugar and spice, and leave it to bake in the sun for a few hours. Got yourself a delicious sawdust red velvet crumble. Baking with Euler. Can't help myself, guys. I'm not a dad, but I'm a dog dad, but I'm not a dad, but the dad jokes, they're starting to come naturally as I get older. I'm just chopping it up a little bit before I spread it out. Okay. This is literally the same thing I go over in the flock tutorial video that I have. I just go over it in a little bit more detail and talk about why I would and wouldn't do certain things. And yeah, so this is basically the quick version of the sawdust flock tutorial. Then you just saw the version of the twine, hemp, static grass, make your own color static grass tutorial, which there's other materials you can do that with. So I will probably clip that and share that as a skills video for the channel members to have easy access to, and then we'll share that publicly because I've never done that in a video, so that'd be a good one to reshare with everybody for a quick reference for later. And it still has a lot of liquid in it, but that's okay. Let's see, I might see if I can pour this liquid or get it to pool down here and pour it off. Yep, it's gonna pool. It's gonna pool. Sorry guys, I can't see your comments right now. I'll look at them in just a minute. I'm just gonna let this pool and then I'm gonna pour it off. I don't wanna pour all of this off either because I've noticed I've actually set these trays at an angle in the sun to dry. And I'll show you what happens. And it's actually kind of cool. It was another happy accident, but I didn't mean to do it, but that's what happened with it. So I set this in one of these trays in the sun to dry at an angle like this against a wall, and all of the acrylic paint liquid pooled down to the side, and this sawdust released a lot of liquid, and this sawdust absorbed more liquid. So by the time it was dry, I had a darker green and a lighter green. I was able to separate it and create two greens, and then I intermixed some of it to create a grass look that looked a little bit more natural. So it was an accident where the dye came down here and this sawdust released, this sawdust picked up. This was a richer color of the same, richer tone of the same color, or more saturated, excuse me, more saturated tone of the same color. So I was able to intermix them and get more shades of the same color off of the same batch because I did that. So I don't want to do that with this though. I'm not looking for two different shades. So I'm going to try to get this liquid that's in here to kind of stabilize. I'll go set this outside really quick. I will be right back. Woo! It's hot out there. Yeah, that might be dry by the end of the stream. Okay. Let's get on to making some crazy stuff here. All right, thanks for bearing with me on all that stuff. That is going to be very helpful to us later when that is all ready to go. Let's do a quick checkup. Hold on. Just gonna get some water in that so I can rinse that out easier later. And put this dye over here. Let's do a quick kitty litter catch-up. Awkward silence for sure. This needs more dye. I'm gonna actually add some more dye to this now. I want this to be a little darker. I like the lighter, but I want it to be a little darker. So I'm gonna add some more dye to this now after looking at this. The kitty litter absorbed a lot of the dye, and it absorbed it evenly. But I want this to be a darker blue. So just see if I can get this a little richer. I can tell that's close to the color it's going to end up after sitting there for that long. If it's not darker, it's not going to get any darker. It's just going to hold better. La 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 la. Shaking my kitty litter in some blue liquid. Okay. All right, we'll see if that sucks up some more dye. If not, that's okay. Maybe I need to boil it in the dye because a lot of times these dyes they need to be boiled too to like really effectively get in there. So this might be something I need to boil. Maybe I'll go set this in the sun, see if that helps. I don't know if this was the boiling kind or not. I didn't even check. Pre-wash fabric to remove any stains. 35% polyester. No, this looks like just a wash. Using 140 degrees or greater. Okay, yeah, so this is a wash in hot water one, which is fine. That's what I was wanting. So we'll see. Maybe the kitty litter, we'll see how it turns out when it's done. Maybe that's when where I'll need to use like preheated hot water to get it to effectively hit the kitty litter. But I do like the color. I just wanted some more darker blue. So we'll see what it does. Let's do a dye check on our hemp. This one I might be able to turn out. Yeah, I think this is gonna pretty much be the color it's gonna be. Let me turn this one out too, guys. Hold on a sec. This one has some green remnants in it, but it's dry, so it should be okay. Okay, I'm gonna pour. Yeah, it is a kitty litter commercial, you're right. I should sell some Oilers Workshop branded kitty litter. I've talked a lot about cats in this video, haven't I? Well, welcome to the internet. So I'm just going to pour this liquid back in here because I'm going to be reusing this dye a lot, and I'll just take note that there's some purified water mixed into this dye. Yeah, see, it's like now I've got more dye than I need. That's fine. I'm going to be reusing this a lot for other things. Welcome to the internet. We've got cats everywhere. Okay. I'm going to do this. Plop. Yeah, ooh, got a lot of liquid left. Look at that. And it's not dyeing. Oh, it is dyeing the plastic. Very little bit, but it is. That looks pretty. I wonder what that looks like under a black light. Ooh, I just got an idea. Interesting. It's pretty dense. That's cool, though. Look at the bottom there. So if you were flat, I think that's just mostly the black light on the plastic, though. Man, that is really solid, that dye. Learn something new every day. I am going to pour this out in the sink. Or no, I'm going to pour this into this other container. Aha. Okay. Yep, that's definitely purple. I did make a hairball. This is the very cat-centric sci-fi diorama video. That was not something I was planning, but cats are from outer space according to Futurama. If you've seen the That Darn Cats episode, one of my favorite episodes of that show, Nibbler goes, what do cats need with that much yarn and cobalt? You call it Earth, we call it shiny, shiny blue ball. That is a hilarious episode of Futurama if you've never seen it. It's like the history of cats being from an alien planet, and their planet got overheated, so they came to Earth and enslaved the Egyptians to worship them so that they could be petted and taken care of all day and not have to worry about feeding themselves. And so they decide to transfer the energy of the sun to their home planet using cobalt and yarn or something like that. I don't know. I haven't seen the episode in a few years, but it's hilarious. Oh, that's also the one where Mr. Speak and Spell says, the horse says, doctorate denied. Which, I know that sounds really random and weird, but you have to watch the episode to get it. That Darn Cats, K-A-T-Z, is an excellent episode of Futurama. So, let me get another stick. Ooh, look at that stick. Blue and purple stick. That'd be a cool wash for, like, floorboards. Blue and purple dye wash. I just want to separate these clumps a little bit more. Our alien cat coughed up a hairball. Blech. I had two lovely cats growing up. I may have mentioned them before in a previous stream, I don't recall. Marble and Shiva. Marble was the greatest cat in the history of catdom, and Shiva was scared of everything, literally. You would like walk in the bedroom and you wouldn't even know she was there. And you would just go, where'd I put my keys? And she would run up the wall and run around the corner and freak out and go to another room and hide under that bed. And you're like, I didn't even acknowledge you were in this room. Why are you freaking out? And that's what she would do. And Marble would just walk up and be like, hello, let's be best friends. I love you. Great cat. Look at that. That's beautiful. Getting more ideas for wood staining. Sweet. Okay, go sit this out in the sun really quick too. Alrighty. That was fun. Okay. So let me get you guys to the high ground again. So what I was envisioning for these two intergalactic gas pumps was these as like sunshades, and I was going to stagger them, one higher and one lower. And I was thinking of using these as like base pieces to build off of, like I kind of showed at the beginning. And I like this angle right here, and I was gonna like align these so that they're at that angle. So I'm just for demonstration purposes, I'm not gonna have them like this, right, or like this. I think I want to have them on an angle that matches this angle, just to create some consistency between the two pieces. Stuff like that makes it look like it was designed by the same person originally, even though I'm using found objects. And this is going to be like the pump that you would... Oh, I just heard my thing fall over. Hold on a sec, guys. Yay, things are falling over outside. Okay, never mind, we're fixed. Sorry about that. I heard the tray fall over. Okay, it's weighted down now. Okay, anyways, just saying, I wanted to have this match this angle to make it look like it was designed by the same person. And then I wanted to have two of these staggered so you could like drive up with your speeder and pull the little hose off and hook it up and get your little charge on, or your refill or whatever. And I wanted to have this one in the back. Well, it doesn't matter. I'll probably make them so you can move them around. But this one like higher and this one lower. And to make these like the gas pumps. And I wanted to use, like I said, this tube coming down in here. We're going to line this with something, and then I'm going to determine the height from this. So, you know, I don't know. Probably just going to visualize this one and maybe just wing it right now. So something like that. I got to figure these Mythic Legions figures. I think the Kragnar is like 9 inches tall. So let me get a little baseline here. I want to be able to put the biggest figure under it and have it still look good. So 9 inches is about... That's about 7 inches, so 2 inches above that is 9. So if I go, that's about 9 inches right there. So I think I want to go a little higher than that. So maybe right in this region is where I want to cap this one. So this is just rough, and I'm putting it down here. So if I cut this one off at 11 inches, and then the other one was about, what was that? 2 inches higher. So we cut one at 11 and one at 13. Those are going to be like my tube, or my where this connects on the underside of the covering, right, for the gas pump. So I'm going to cut these down See if that looks right. I have more of these in case I cut too much or too little. Well, I can figure it out. So I'm gonna cut these off and see if that looks right to me. And I'm gonna use my little miter saw. If you have a chop saw, you can use a chop saw. If you have a table saw, you can use a table saw. I'm just gonna line the end up to the end of my table here. You guys can see what I'm doing. There you go. Line the end up to my table, but my mat, and then line up the center of my cutting on the 11-inch mark, which is right there. I'm not worried about it being perfect. No one's going to take a tape measure to this. This is free. This is a free form piece, so. All right. I've got a scrap piece for somewhere else in the diorama, which I will probably find a use for that. If not on this one, in another one. And then do one at 13 inches. There's my center line at 13. Line this up with the end. And cut this one. I will go back in the future times and put a link below this stream for anybody watching in the future, anybody watching now who wants a link to buying these tools off Amazon. If you'd like to get your hands on one of these, everything that I've used that I can find on Amazon, I'll link below. I just sometimes I don't get a chance to get back to that for a while because I have to go back to the video and remember what I talked about and put the links in. But I think there's a few links in there for foam and some other stuff right now that I always have in there. So here's your 11-inch and your 12-inch one. Move you guys back over here with my hand in the way. There we go. 54 likes. Thank you, guys. Yes, Daniel, this is for the new Cosmic Legions. Star Marvel. I have not built. I don't have a. Well, I have ideas. Sorry if this keeps twisting on you guys. My clamp is getting loose. I don't have a vehicle yet. I don't know if I'm going to make one or use one or upscale or modify or kit bash. I probably will kit bash. I have a couple of space toy vehicle things I've set aside up in boxes above me. I'll probably dig one of those down when we get closer to the end. See if I want to kit bash one. Or if I want to make one from scratch, probably try to kit bash one so I'm not doing insane amounts of work because I already have things I'm already working on that are scratch built that I'm already way behind on. So I like to stick to something that I can do on the stream over a couple of streams. So anyways, here's our intergalactic space flute. Nope, doesn't work. That's ADD for you. Okay. So there's that one. There's that one. I'm going to create some type of a base piece for these two. I'm just getting a basic fit of the main parts, and we'll get into details here. Yep, that looks really cool. Okay. We'll get into main details here as I go. I don't know if you guys, let me see how well you guys can see that. Let me angle it up so you can participate. All right. So like this, actually way farther over here. Like this is what I'm envisioning as the main structure. There's going to be stuff lining this tube, wires hanging down, a panel, a base piece with like maybe a tank of something, right? And then we're going to put a light either in the bottom and the top, or bottom and top, or an LED strip down the middle. I haven't decided how bright I want it to be yet. I don't want it to be too bright. And that's going to be like the two main features, and then we're going to do some type of a facade for a building or something. You know, I haven't decided yet. I might even just like the way this looks as it is and make a sign or something, you know, that just says, "Stop here for 59 cents off your intergalactic gas," or something like that. And I'll put it in like Arabesh language or something, or Cosmic Legions language, whatever they call that. But I think this looks really cool. I spent a couple of hours fiddling with this stuff when I was here cleaning up the shop the other day, trying to find some pieces that I liked. I shouldn't say a couple of hours, probably only like 20 minutes. But I was here for a couple of hours, but this only took me like 20 minutes. Just digging through my boxes of Obtainium. So that's a good starting point. And I think, and I'm going to use these other fins, these things, for whatever we put on the building, features on the building. So there's some consistency between these two sort of gas pumps and the building, because I want them to look again like they're designed by the same company or brand or builder. So I will use these to complement these on the buildings or accessories or whatever we decide to do. If I do like a intergalactic garbage can or something like that, you know. I keep having all these ideas running through my head, and I'm trying to tone it back and coalesce it into something doable for a live stream. So this is where we're going to start today. And what I want to do, I'm going to have to scratch build some parts of this, and I'm thinking of using, back to my electrical circuit boards as panels, parts of this as the gas pump panels. And I think I want to go get a matching one of these, because I'm going to probably cut sections out of this and use it, not use this whole thing, and then maybe add other parts to other places, get some tubes and stuff. So I'm going to go grab another one of these, because I know I have another one of these. And then we'll get you guys closer in here, because we're going to start making base pieces for these and detailing them with found objects. Bring you back down to my level here. All right, let me go grab one of these. I forgot to grab one before the stream. Hold on one sec. Okay, found one. Here we go. So this is what I took this off. So just as an example of things you might think look unuseful, like you might see this thing lying around and going, I could never use that for a diorama. But wait, there's more. So this, you know, if you figure out how to take something apart, you can probably find parts and pieces you can use in other places. So here's a little part you can glue to the side of something. I know how to take these apart, by the way, but because I have a bunch of these. Here's another part for something. Look, there's 2 detail parts on a sci-fi wall. Just glue those on and paint them. Done. And then this is more of the casing and the housing for the motor. Here you go. Here's another detail part right there. I will tell you this green plastic here, this is nylon Teflon blended plastic. This does not glue or paint very well, just so you know. It's not designed to. It's meant to be slippery so that it can slide. So this stuff works good. This stuff doesn't paint very well. So just if you come across this hard nylon green plastic, you can try to use it. It works okay. Like you get these cool shapes like that, but it's hard to paint and hard to glue. Super glue doesn't work that great on it. Epoxy works pretty good, but just a side note. I will set these aside, see if we can incorporate these somehow. And these little rubber wheels that come with those, I'll save those with my rubber parts. This is what I do when I take something apart. I have these little things ready to go, or a little tray ready to go, and I just throw parts into bins that are of like materials, or like materials, or like plastics, or like metals, or like shapes. New Future Customs asks, can you heat treat it? Yeah, you probably could. You know, I've never tried it with this green plastic. You probably could. It's nylon Teflon blended, but if you could possibly flame over it really quickly and maybe etch up the surface a little bit with that flame. I don't know how toxic those flames would be, so I would recommend doing it outside, like have it on an alligator clip and try it. That might make it accept glue and paint better. Yep, New Future Custom said it right there. Yeah, hit it with a blowtorch. Give it like a quick annealing. I think that's what that's called when you do that on plastic with a torch. I think I said that before in a video, but I didn't explain it very well. But yeah, that might work. I've never tried it on this plastic though. I know it works on PVC and PET and the harder heat molded plastics, but I don't know about this one because it's got like Teflon and nylon, and I don't know if the nylon would immediately just melt or the Teflon would do something weird. I don't know. You'd have to try it. This is also nylon Teflon. It's just a different color. This is actually the same. I was thinking of using this for like a window. So these are actually the same material that just dyed differently. This is meant to slide against another plastic without heating up, which is why it's a nylon Teflon blend. It prevents heating up, and it also promotes sliding, so it's slippery. like a non-stick coating on a pan. That's why they use these in plastic gears inside of things that move, like, you know, even your washing machine has big plastic nylon Teflon gears and stuff like that. So that's why they use it. I've never tried to heat treat this stuff. It might work. I don't know. Maybe I'll try that off camera and let you know in the future. I'll probably forget. So until I need to do it myself someday. Good discussion though. Good things to talk about to let people know what is and isn't possible, or things they could try. Always, if you're going to burn something with fire, especially if it's a synthetic thing like plastic, go do it outside and do it somewhere where you can put the fire out with a fire extinguisher or in the dirt. Water on plastic or water on chemicals could create a bigger fire and burn your skin. So just be mindful of that. And always with adult supervision if you are under 18, okay, people? So don't do what Donnie Don't does. Don't be stupid. Okay. So this is the motor that's mounted to that housing that I can just pull out. And where are my cutters? Little wire cutters. Oops, look at that. Magnet. Okay. I'm not going to use this motor again anytime soon, but it works. I'll set those aside for future projects. I don't do a lot of like moving electronic stuff anymore, but if I want to put it into like a costume or have a spinning blade or something inside of a tube for a diorama that I want to video, maybe I'll use one of those motors. But right now I'm not really doing moving part stuff because it's just a whole nother layer of things to worry about that I don't want to worry about. So this is the RF signal receiver for your remote. Actually, sorry, that's Bluetooth. This is a Bluetooth signal receiver. These are Bluetooth motors from Bluetooth blinds. So if you were more of an electronics whiz than I am, I know how to do the basic stuff, like set up a light and a switch and all that, and get a motor moving and stuff like that. But if you wanted to, you could desolder where this connects. Like if you find something like this, just another little tip for scrapping parts. This plugs into this little circuit here. And if you know what parts to remove and what voltages they need to be at from reading this board, you know, you could save this part, save the little Bluetooth receiver, desolder this from the board and whatever parts it needs and put them on something else, and you could have a Bluetooth receiver on something. I don't get into that. I understand the basics of it, but I don't really get into that super electronic-y stuff. I just do the basics so I can make things light up and smoke and turn. So I probably won't ever get into that too deep of stuff, at least in the coming years on the channel. Maybe down the road I will, but I'd have to kind of reteach myself because it's been a long time since I messed with any of that more advanced stuff where you have to actually do more than just calculate voltage and make sure you don't pump too many amps into something. And I pulled these off the shelf when I was over there too with my parts. These are little battery holders. I was thinking maybe these can glue somewhere or something, or like be part of the tube holder. I don't know. But now I can get some matching parts. So before I start gluing on details though, Fatred Fu, how often do I live stream? So my goal at the beginning of this year, as I stated, was to do every first, third, and if there's a fifth Sunday of the month. Try to stick to the same time, 5. Sometimes I've done it a little later. But I stick to the first, third, and fifth. And if there's a Sunday I have to skip, I just have to skip it because life, you know, I have a wife, I have friends locally, I have a family, and I have work responsibilities outside of the diorama art stuff that unfortunately I have to let take priority. Sometimes I'm not to the point where I can just do this yet. But you guys being here makes it more possible for me to do that. Those thumbs up and all that stuff being here, those comments, gets me closer to doing only this, which is always my goal. So thank you for being here. But that's what I'm shooting for, is first, third, and fifth Sundays. Some of them will be skipped, like in June. Unfortunately, I missed 2 in June just because of life. But that's always when I'm going to come on. If I'm coming on, it's going to be a first, third, or fifth Sunday of the month. That's what I'm shooting for this year. We'll see how it goes. If I need to change it up next year, I'll let you know. But that's always the plan. So, and then obviously you can go back and watch any of my live streams. They're always relevant. Nothing in there is really time sensitive. I don't, you know, I might make a passing comment about something that happened in the news or in the figure announcement world or whatever, but it's not the whatever we're making is always can be gone back to and watched and and applied. So if you ever want to go back and watch any of those old streams, if I miss one of those Sundays or something, feel free. There's something to learn in every stream. And I don't know if you're teasing me or what I said about good pronunciation. I probably messed up. Sorry. My brain thinks faster than my tongue can move sometimes, and it just comes out as blah, 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 blah. Okay. Basing material. 55 likes. Into the box of scraps. Sweet. Well, I'm glad you found me. Thank you, sir. So this is the PVC expanded styrene sheet. Probably will use some of this as my base and just build off of that. And I'll dig into this a little later. I pronounced it right? Okay. I always worry that I messed up and I didn't notice. Because I do that a lot. Oh, okay. Delicious, delicious water. Okay, so I'll probably start with tracing this onto here and then building out some type of a platform, because my goal would be to make these so they're stable on their own. And then I want to build an adjoining platform on the base piece where they're going in the diorama when we eventually do that, the actual landscaping, so that they can be removed and put back on there, so that they could be, you know, shifted around. They're not going to be dedicated or anchored to the piece in case I wanted to take this to a show and I could ship it easily or take it apart. Or if I wanted to sell it to a photographer, I didn't have to ship it as a whole piece and they could store it easy. That's how I like to think about tear down ability sometimes, even though we've done several dioramas where we can't do that. I like to try to get back to thinking that way because I like to think about modularity and storage and stuff like that. So I want to make this its own piece that can be separate and used in a different diorama or medium or for a different shot, or incorporated or moved around in what we're making however we want. So let me start with this piece here. Grab a pencil. And whatever we do on this piece, I'm just going to replicate for that piece. So I'm just going to kind of start in the middle here and trace a shape. And this is where you can kind of you can start being creative just with this. And I'll show you what I mean. So there's my basic shape. Let me make sure I get this completely covered how I want. And you could get super detailed and trace this exactly, like this exact shape that it is. Or you can like build out from there and kind of block it out differently, which is kind of what I'm going to do. You could also cut out multiple layers, which I might do to create just a little bit more interest. So this is our basic shape. I'm going to grab another straight edge piece here. It's hard to see from a distance. Grab another straight edge piece here and just retrace this so that I have a more defined line and something to follow. And make sure that is going to still fit as I traced it. And not going to look weird when I cut it out. Okay, this does taper, so I'm going to taper that out. This tapers out a little that way. Yep, okay. That looks good. Yeah, maybe a little bit more. A little bit more to the corner there. A little bit more over here. I'm just trying to get this, have a consistent distance from the object all the way around here. Just making sure so it doesn't look stupid when I glue it on and find out that I messed up later. Okay, so this I want to come out farther like that. And what you're doing, like if you trace this exactly out as the shape of the object, you could do that. But I'm leaving myself by kind of expanding it out, and this is my thinking on this. By expanding my base out, I leave a little place here to place a detail, right? I'm gonna probably add some more dimension over here, but I'm gonna like add over here, and I'm gonna leave space over here to add detail. So I'm just kind of giving myself room to do more later. So I'm gonna go out farther than that, and I'm probably going to Like that's how far I want to go out there. So I'm going to go maybe to the center of this circle I just drew. Cut it out there. Maybe I will, let's see. Match the angle right there. Cut it across like that. And then bring this out the same distance this is out. Like that. And then the same thing here. Like that. And like that. See what that will look like. So yeah, that's a kind of a nice starting piece, I think. So maybe I'll do a mirrored angle over here. Yep. So let's just cut this out and see what this looks like. And then if I like it, I will cut out an identical piece. And I'm just going to probably freehand this one with very carefully. I think I need a new blade in this. Well, I have two of these. Let's use this one. So I'm probably just going to freehand this as long as my blade is sharp. Get some sandpaper. Oh yeah, okay. Careful at home, kids. Let's get a metal ruler. So I'm not going to freehand this. I just changed my mind because I just sharpened that blade a lot. Okay. Initial cuts we'll do with the guide. There we go. Careful, people. Work safely, work carefully. Don't get in a rush. Don't cut yourself. And very sharp knife is always. It's ironic that it's actually usually safer to cut with a very sharp edge as long as you're cutting correctly. If you cut with a dull edge, you're more likely to slip because you're going to be pushing harder. And you're pushing harder to try to cut. That's when you like hit a bump or hit something weird and you slip and actually cut yourself with a dull blade. So if you have a sharper blade and you're careful about your cutting will probably turn out a lot better. So this one I'm going to freehand this angle. So just a little tip about cutting. Try to always use a sharp blade. Anything. When you're cutting anything, it's going to be safer. And just know how you're cutting and how you're supposed to be cutting. So that when you cut with a sharp blade, if you slip, or if you don't, you'll be less likely to slip. Because if you do slip, it's going to be a much deeper cut. But I think statistically it is safer to cut with a sharper blade because there's less chance of a mistake as long as you know what you're cutting. Sorry, I'm not in the camera frame, am I? Okay, so this is the shape that I kind of thought would look cool. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's a good starting shape for the bottom of an intergalactic gas pump. Yep. I like it. Let's cut another one out. This will do the trick. So in this case, I'm just going to hold this down and trace it with my knife because it will give me a sharper trace. Be careful. I'm just going to trace it. If you trace it with a pen or a pencil, you run the risk of cutting your secondary piece too big. So. Fat red foo. That is kind of what I was thinking. So I don't know though. So we'll see. This one I'm just feeling it out as I go. So let me cut these two identical bases that I like first, and then I will see about cutting a second layer to tear it out. I probably will do that, but I just want to see what this looks like first, and then I'll move on to that. So I'm kind of thinking, I'm sure we're kind of thinking the same thing, kind of creating a columned effect where you have tiers of graduated, the same shape but graduating down, or the same shape that slightly changes as it graduates down. That's kind of what or out, graduates down, out, or up. That's kind of what I'm thinking here. So creating another shape that's just like this, but a little bit farther out, but maybe changes a little bit on the back side or changes a little bit on the front side to create some interest to the piece and to make it look more alien. That's kind of what I was thinking. Bjorn, this is technically, it's a type of styrene. I can never get the chemical name for this. Otherwise, I would tell you guys so you could like look it up and order it. But when I go to get this from my plastic supplier that's actually just down the street from me, they just call it expanded hardboard or expanded foam board. It's, if you took this and you turned it into a cylinder and rotated it, it would basically be like a soft PVC tube. So this is, it's an type of styrene, but it's also like feels more like a PVC. That's why I just call it PVC sheet, because when I go in and I say, can I get that PVC sheet? They go, oh, that expanded foam board PVC sheet? And I go, yeah. Then somebody else goes, that expanded foam sheet? And I'm like, yeah. And then they give me this. So I think some people call it styrene because it's all in the same chemical family. And even if it is an expanded styrene, it might cut a little bit differently, but it should glue the same and feel the same and behave the same. So just something. White Vegeta, thank you for all the emojis. I appreciate it. So let's see how well these matched up. That looks pretty good. The bottom one's a little wider in a couple of areas. You just trim them up a little bit. They don't have to be perfect because they're not going to be right on top of one another, but I'll know they're not perfect, you know. That looks pretty good. Okay, so let's just kind of do this. Do ba do ba do ba do ba do ba ba do ba boo. Da do da do da do da da. Okay, something like that. So I hope you guys too, you're not thinking you have to go out and find blind motor mounts to make your intergalactic gas pumps if you want to make this. Extruded polystyrene, that may be the term that will get you this faster, yeah. So you could also, I think there's Sintra is similar to this. It's not the same. I heard somebody go, that's Sintra. It's actually not. What I'm using is not Sintra. Sintra is a brand of plastic with certain types of plastics in a certain range. You can go get 1/8 of an inch thick Sintra and it will behave very similarly to this. It's a little harder from what I remember, but it will still behave like this. So you can get Sintra, but the Sintra, I guarantee you, is going to be a lot more expensive because it is a brand. It's not just a generic plastic made by a generic plastics maker. So it's going to cost a lot more. So the whole reason I'm showing you this process is because you can take any objects. Like if you tore apart a water gun and you got something like this and you wanted to make an intergalactic power station, you could take this and you could do the same thing I'm doing here. And you could plop this down onto a sheet like this, trace it with a pencil, retrace it, and come in and be, carefully cut out your base shape and glue this to your base, and then fill in pieces around it and paint it. And you've got miniature wargaming tabletop terrain. You've got a little base for your micro machines. You flip it upward and put it on a wall. You've got a wall detail. You run a tube through it, put an LED in the bottom of it. You've got a light up Star Wars door entryway thing. This is just to show you. You don't have to go get, this exact same piece, but it's to show you the idea of how you can start kit bashing and scratch building from found objects confidently, right? So that's the point of why we're doing this type of a diorama this way. So just so if you're watching now or in the future times and you're going, I'm never going to be able to find those same parts, that's okay. That's not the point. The point is for you to find what you have and give it a life of its own in your own way with these types of ideas, right? So just in case any of you were wondering, why I'm using these parts that you might never be able to find, you know, that because these are, I think these 2 motor mounts are specifically from electronic skylight blinds that I took out of the trash and tore apart. You know, you may not ever find that, you know, but you may find something that gives you this type of vibe that's got all these cool details in it, from the packaging of a laser printer, or I think some of the cartridges for toner, like if you have an empty toner cartridge, they have details that look like this, you know, stuff like that. You know, you might find something that inspires you. So Necro216, thank you for that comment. I appreciate that. Dick Slot Car Garage, sweet. Thanks for stopping by, man. We love anybody that does any type of scale building, miniatures, as well as props and costuming. That's what I do. Obviously, I've been focusing on miniatures for a long time now, but there's all kinds of stuff that you can learn that you can incorporate into your stuff, I'm sure. I learned stuff from metal workers, from woodworkers, from laser engraving guys, from 3D printing guys, from even like people who just talk about history. I'm like, wait a minute, that's how they did that? Oh, I could probably incorporate that, you know. So there's something you can learn from everybody. So I thank you for being here. I'm glad you're here with us. And slot cars are a blast. I got to play with those for a very small stint in my like sort of late preteen years with my uncle a little bit, and then it kind of was short-lived because it was a little bit too expensive of a hobby for us. So at the time, maybe it's probably better now, but as a kid who come from a broke family, we were like, this is fun, but I don't think we have enough money to set up a big track like this. So, you know, we went down to the slot car place and just paid a fee and drove their slot cars around, and I think we built a couple of cars on our own, and that was about it. So okay, so let's see if I want to do a graduated system here, so where we would take this and do another one below it, which I think I do. So let's see here. This one I'm going to pencil out because I'll probably change the shape. Okay, cool. So something like coming out here and going around the shape like that, and then just kind of sketching it on here like that, and then maybe I could do something on the backside like this in like a circular piece, and I could put some kind of circular piece there. Yeah, there we go. See, that's what I mean. Creating little shelves and open areas for you to glue other things on. And this just comes from doing this a lot, and like, you know, getting to the end of a building going, I wish I had a place to put this. If I just put a thing there, I could, you know. So pre-planning for your ability to kit bash later. So let me just draw this out a little straighter. Like that. And that. Like that. And then maybe I'll cut that angle off right there. That looks nice. That looks cool. Let me get something circular to trace a perfect circular shape here. Maybe, do I want to use that tube? That's about the right size. I think I want it to be bigger than that. Let me see if one of these rubber washers will do the trick. Probably. Is that the same size? Yeah. I think bigger than that though. Let me go grab a metal washer. Momento, por favor. There we go. More Obtainium boxes. So this is all washers and bolts and clamps and crimps and stuff. So I save all this stuff and sort it out into, I have like 9 boxes just like this, of little parts like this. So you can see it comes in handy now, because now I can grab this to trace something. I have little detail pieces I can use on stuff. I have little collars and couplings and grippies and wing nuts and all kinds of junk. So I'm sure I'll get into this box here, if not today, one of the other days for this diorama. So this is kind of what I was thinking. So we put this on the line, put that on our center, and then trace it. There we go. That's kind of the size I was thinking. And then you can even do things like stack washers inside of washers to create little coil towers where they would be little charging capacitor type looking things for vintage looking sci-fi, whatever. Anyways. Dick's Slot Car Garage says, I've started printing shipping containers. I want to recreate the shop in the movie Tron that is built with shipping containers, building in 1/32 scale. I'll use it to take pictures of my cars. That's awesome. That's going to be sweet. It's cool. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Yeah, it's shipping containers. I have one that I started building a long time ago in 1/12 scale and never finished. And it's about halfway done, but I realized I was like, woo, doing this accurately in 1/12 scale is by hand is actually a lot of work. I'll finish it one of these days, and I'll probably just keep it as a decoration or take it to like events with me to show off like some of the things that you can do with some of the stuff I do on the channel, stuff like that. But like everything else I'm doing, I don't know when I'm gonna have time. So this one I'm just going to freehand off, and never put your thumb or your finger back near behind where you're cutting towards. Always keep it in front or near unless you have a guide like something metal. There we go. Okay, now the circular part, which is going to be fun and difficult. Probably have to sand it, but this is where you want to be careful. This is where you could do what I was describing earlier. Don't slip. Just go. You're going to have to circle it a few times if you do it this way. There's circular cutters you can get that you have to spin a trillion times, or you could, if you were cutting out a whole circle, you could get a hole cutting bit for a drill, but for a half circle, you kind of just, and this material, you kind of just have to do this. Once you cut about halfway through or more, you can actually just crack it off, usually, which might already be it to that point. Let me just do this. Yeah, pretty close. Almost there. There we go. And then I usually have to refine the shape a little bit. I'll probably go grab my rasp or my sanding block. That didn't cut as straight as I wanted it to. You can literally sculpt this like if you're shaving wood. If you're careful, you can sculpt these edges just like whittling wood, as long as you have a sharp blade and you're careful. Yeah, new future, I hear you. I have definitely cut my fingers up. I took a giant chunk out of my thumb on a table saw, which is just a stupid freak accident. My fingernail got caught on a splinter sticking out of the wood that I was pushing through, and the blade caught on a knot on the wood and pushed the wood back through. When I was holding the back past the blade, and the splinter caught on my fingernail and dragged my thumb right over the top of the blade and cut like a 1/4 of an inch deep, 1/4 of an inch wide chunk out of my thumb. So that was great. Working with expanded polystyrene, expanded foam board, PVC sheet, it's all basically the same material. And there's softer versions of this too. This is actually a harder version, right? You saw how it took, this thinner part was easy to break and bend and break, excuse me. But in this one, this is the same material. You can get softer stuff that's way easier to bend and harder stuff. The Sintra is going to be a little harder than that, I think. What did I say I was going to get? Oh, yeah. My sanding block. This stuff sands really nice too with like, what is this? I think this is 320 or 120. It's probably 120. This is the story of a girl who cried her. I don't know. Oh, this is 120. Okay, not 320, 120. Okay. Put that on there. Yeah, look at that. So with all the pencil marks on it and the fact that it's all white, doesn't look that great. But imagine it painted like a dark silver or a bronze, and then like with like chipping and chunks taken out of it, and like, you know, a couple of tubes and buttons here and there and stuff. I think that's gonna look cool. It's gonna be on that. Boom. Yeah. All right. Now I gotta cut another one. And then we can start maybe gluing some stuff together or something. Okay. Excuse me. All right, I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to line this up with my cutting mat really quick and make a cut. Nope. I'm going to line it up a different way. Line up that side over here, and then line this up. That's better. There we go. Yay. Cut this off. And then we'll cut this one off. I'm going to just cut this piece separately and glue it on over here because I don't have to reveal the seam there. It's just going to be a little bit easier, I think. Maybe not. We'll see. Boom. Again, please be careful when you're doing this. You have to press hard in this material and you don't want to slip and cut yourself. Deburr. Do a little deburring of the burrs. Okay. Make sure that is the same size. Yep. Now I just need to cut one of those. I'm just going to do this on one of these really quick. Voila. Is it cost effective to make buildings using this material? It depends on how big your buildings are. If you're in 1/35th scale, you'll probably be fine. If you cut a bunch of like little lumber pieces, of different sizes like this, and then you like stack them back and forth, it would be great. But this material for larger buildings is probably not the most cost effective, depending on how big of sheets you can get. I buy this in 4-foot by 8-foot sheets and cut it down. Like I buy them in sheets that are the size of my shop table, so it's a lot cheaper, but you may not have the ability to get to that. And when you buy them cut down, it's like it can be very expensive depending on where you go, but I don't know what's available to you. So some places you can get it for like a couple dollars a square foot, and some places it's going to cost you like $80 a square foot. It just depends on who you're buying it from. So look long and look. Don't be in a rush, I guess is what I'm saying. Don't be in a rush, because you might find a really good deal if you're just patient about where you look. Troy said something and then retracted it. Did I say the same thing you were going to say? Sorry. Oop, that does not match at all. There we go. That's much closer. Super glue works amazingly well on this material too, by the way. PVA glue I wouldn't recommend on this, like white glue, but super glue, fantastipotamus. There we go. And speaking of super glue, super glue is my best friend. Oh, did it dry on me? No, the cap just dried on. Oh, there we go. There she blows. Okay. Oop. I love a vacuum sealed tube of super glue on a hot day exploding all over your finger. Yay. Ow. And burning your skin. Whoops, that was my elbow. A little drop of it went on my carpeted table and apparently burned my elbow. There we go. Just gonna let that sit. Make sure there isn't any squeezing out on the side, so we're good. Okay, so there's that one. And there is that one. Boom! This still doesn't look very round to me right here. I'm just gonna fix this. Okay, I think we can do some gluing here. Of these, as long as the super glue doesn't want to burn me. Okay. So with this glue on these flat pieces, I'll put more glue in the center and not around to the edges, because when I push, it's gonna want to squish out, and I don't want a bunch of glue squishing everywhere. So I'll put a bunch kind of in the center and then line it up where it needs to go, and then press it into place. Whoop. And there's a little bit squeezing out here, so I'm going to take a scrap piece of this, and I'm just going to use this to pick up that scrap glue so it doesn't dry in a weird way. There we go. I see you guys talking in the chat. I'll join back in here in a minute, just focusing on what I'm doing. There, get rid of that glue. Get rid of that Add glue. Do-da-do-ba-do-ba-da. Okay. Look at that. 2 platforms. They don't look like anything, but they're something. See, this took us like 30 minutes or something to make these on the stream. Just these 2 parts here because of a complex shape. But you think about miniature spaceship modeling that they did for Star Wars or for Battlestar Galactica, and making miniature models, because a lot of miniature models, especially like scratch build kits and stuff, are made out of PVC sheet, styrene plastic card. And this is how long it takes to do that stuff by hand. Now, you can't usually cut this stuff in a laser cutter. You can cut it on like a CNC cutter. But even then, like, it's hard to get exactly what you want, and you'd have to build the whole thing in 3D in the computer and have it cut out surfaces, right? That's why 3D printing seems like a good option, but sometimes that doesn't get you what you want because the way it prints or the density or the weight of the material. But you see, this is how long it takes to really do something like this. If you were to build an entire ship or vehicle or model out of these types of materials, it takes weeks and weeks and weeks, if not months and months and months. I think I was watching Adam Savage talk on the Corridor Digital's channel about making the miniature model of the interior of the NASA space shuttle, making it in miniature to film a scene in the movie Space Cowboys. And he said it took him, and it was a miniature that was 12 inches wide. It does not look like 12 inches wide on screen, by the way. Credit to Adam and his team. It looks like it's, 30 feet wide. But they made a 12-inch by like 14-inch miniature model, hyper real model of the space shuttle interior. And he said it took him and his team, I think he said 8 months to make. So Adam and like 2 or 3 other people on his team of skilled, experienced miniature filmmaking model builders to build a 12 by 12 inch replica of the interior of a NASA space shuttle took 3 of them like 8 months to build. So you see, if you slow down and you go for hyper real and it's something that has to be made by hand because it can't be 3D printed, this stuff takes time, and so when people hit me up for commissions or they ask how long something's going to take, I used to give very wishful answers like, hey, this might maybe I can knock this out in a few months. Now I'm just like, look, I probably won't get to this for a year and a half because of how long everything's going to take me. So just to give you a realistic idea, this is about the passion of doing it. This took us like 30 minutes just to make these 2 pieces, and imagine if I made this whole thing out of this stuff, just this whole piece as it is. It would take a long time to make. It would take this piece would probably take me 4 or 5 hours. If I was not talking to you guys and I was just doing this probably take me 4 or 5 hours just to make this out of styrene and expanded foam board. So just be realistic with your expectations of yourself too. And that's why it's great to use found objects. A lot of the stuff in Star Wars and in sci-fi films, especially in like 90s and before, even the 2000s, like I know some of the Matrix films and stuff like that, they used a lot of found objects to create the detail on the mechanical stuff. So that's why this is an excellent way of model building, so you don't have to do every single thing from scratch. Even though I do like that, I like building something completely from my own 2 hands. This is the way to go if you're creating a world no one's ever seen. It can really speed up the process, and it creates a lot of random, unexpected, cool details. So I see somebody took their like away. I had 57 and now I have 56. I don't know what I did to deserve that, but thanks for being here. Let's see. There we go. There's our little platforms. Look at all the things we did. All right. Fishnet, did you do that? Did you take your like away? Shame on you. You're a wrench. That's okay. All right, so there's our backside here. Happy fingers, happy trees, happy accidents. All right, so now I need to decide if I want to glue these down now or do I want to wait. I think I can glue these down now. I'll be safe because everything else is going to be pretty much added on to these pieces. And I'm probably going to do... I will probably do super glue because this is also a nylon plastic, but it's not... I don't think it's the Teflon blend. It's just the nylon. So I'm just going to sand the bottom and probably just super glue it in place. Yeah, stretch my back there really quick. Okay, so let's see if we can do that and get some more pieces added on here. Sanding block. So we're just gonna definitely needs more sanding. All right. Pretty good. I see some spots that weren't really getting it. Necro 216. I work in construction work sites and have some awesome bits laying around on the floors. The Sparkies electricians have some often the best pieces. Yeah, I work on job sites too, and you're totally right. Those are excellent places to check them. Even if like off job site dumpsters when there's nobody's working and nobody's around, go by and check and be like, oh, look at that, and you know, grab something out of the dumpster. Not that I'm encouraging that, but I found some cool stuff that way. Uncommon Flex, no worries. Thanks for being here, man. Thanks for being a channel member, too. You can watch in the future times and tell me everything I did wrong, and then plausible deniability. Okay. Alrighty. Just getting a drink here. Woo, it's a hot day. Okay. I think we're good to glue this on here. Eddie, thanks for being here. Thank you for that comment. I'm glad this format works for you. All right, nice even layer on there. And we're going to carefully put this in place here. Back that up a little. Just gonna push down on it here to where I want. So I'm just gonna push down and hold it for a sec. And then I'm just going to set, hey, 58 likes. Thank you, guys. Set that one back there. And then we're going to go with this one. I'm just going to try to match the placement on this one back here. Probably shouldn't have pushed that too far away too soon here. Just going to make a little mark on these corners for myself as a reference, so that I can see where I want it. Okay. Same thing here. Do. Super glue is toxic to your eyeballs. Okay. Good thing I have fans going. I love gluing and painting on hot days because everything dries really fast. It's amazing. Okay, push, push, push. There we go. Look the same. They do! Intergalactic gas pumps have been started successfully. Okay. Sweet. And that is already, yeah, that's already based. It's not cured, but it's good. Got a good hold on it. All right, these tubes. Probably start with the shorter one first. Let's just see what these look like from the back, because I want to put more shielding and stuff around these tubes. And I might have a base collar on this to hold it down there, because it looks a little naked, just sitting there like that. I'll probably drill up through the bottom if I want to light it from the bottom. I may want to light it just from the top and put a reflective piece of aluminum tape down here to reflect the light back up into it, or I might light it from the bottom. I don't know. Probably not from the bottom though. Actually, now that I'm saying that, I probably don't want to light it from the bottom because I want to be able to move these around, and if I put a light in the bottom, I am not going to be able to do that. I'm going to have to mount it through, and that'll be a pain. So what I'll probably do is I'll put a plug in here with some aluminum tape to reflect the light back up, and either I'll use a very bright LED at the top up here, or I'll use an LED strip, but I feel like an LED strip is going to be too bright. So we'll have to do some experimenting when we get to the electrical stage, but I do have to plan for placement of electrical now so I don't get in the way. Don't forget your towel, absolutely. Don't forget your towel. Let me just trim these up a little here before I get too far. Just gonna even these base pieces. I noticed this didn't feel perfectly even. Boop. There we go, there we go. All right. So I'm mostly planning on the glow happening here, 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 and then some on the backside. Let me see if these are too big for this. Oh no, that fits really good. These are little battery holder clips. Oh, it's a little off, but that might do the job though. Let me see here. If I put this right here, how does that look? I'm gonna be painting all this and adding the tube last so that, well, what if I do it this way? So I don't have to modify it. Adding the tube last so I can just slide the tube in as is because I don't want to have to worry about masking off the tube while I deal with this. So let me cut off these little tabs here. See, this is where the sort of experimenting and fiddling has to come in. It's unavoidable at this stage. Nope. Break off! Okay, we'll cut it. Fine. Cut that, and we'll cut that. Actually, don't let your blade out that far either. That flexible blade like that can be dangerous. Dangerosity. All right. I'm not worried about this because my lower thumb is going to stop the blade. I'm not like doing this. I'm doing this. Okay. Closer. I don't know if I like that. Maybe not. Maybe I'll just get a PVC tube and cut sections off of it. Let me see if I have a PVC tube that will fit to this really quick. To the under table we go. Ugh. The tube section, 61 likes. Okay, look at that. This might fit this one right away. Hey, look at that. That fits perfect. Okay. Actually, a thinner wall tube. Oh, when I was talking about clear acrylic tubes earlier that you could get online, this is one I bought when I was going to make a custom lightsaber. And I was going to fix the lightsaber that I got. I just haven't fixed that lightsaber yet. So I'm going to do that on stream, by the way. But this is a clear acrylic tube I bought from my online manufacturer, online plastic supplier. I think it was like 12 bucks or something like that. Okay, do I have a copper tube? I feel like I should have a copper tube around here somewhere. Saw one the other day. I don't know where it went. I have a drapery pole tube. There's an aluminum. Nope, that's not a tube. I need a tube. Here's your reflective cellophane. This is what you use inside of one of those tubes down there to make a lightsaber glow. Aluminum tubing. I I know I have copper pipe around here somewhere. I just saw it the other day. Sorry if you're getting motion sickness. Well, I'll remember that. Let me see what's over here. There's a big copper tube. This is some closet rail. That is a little bit big, but I could still use that. Maybe. Gonna require heavy duty cutting. Daniel Weasley, I actually have a steampunk Darth Vader lightsaber that I made. But it's all busted up. I'm gonna completely rebuild that. So I will be doing that for the channel at some point. I just don't know when. Here we go. Maybe this is the tube I was thinking of. I don't want the copper color. I just want something that's got a thinner wall. I could use cardboard. I'd just rather not. That's the right size. Yep. Let's see here. That looks good, but that's probably going to scratch it up. Yep. Maybe. I'll set that in the maybe pile. And let me grab some PVC. So in my Diorama supply shopping videos, I have that playlist. You can see where I get some of these things. I take you shopping with me to some of the places where I get this material, where you can probably find it near you as well. So, all right, let's see what we can do with this. I'll worry about detail, hyper detail later. Okay. Just worry that that's going to be too big for in here. Oh no, it's exactly the right size. Sweet! Home, Alabama. Okay. Well, let's go see if I have my pipe cutter over here. I don't even remember where I put that. It is not in this drawer. Nope. Nope. Oh, here it is. Make sure this will still work. It might be too dull. How do you reset these again? Man, I haven't used one of these in a while. I forgot how to reset these. Oh yeah, like that. Dirt. Okay. Yeah, this blade is really dull. Yeah, I need to sharpen the blade. Sandpaper probably won't be enough for this steel. But we can try. Haven't used this in a long time. All right, let's try that again. Of course. Just want to make sure it's going to cut before I try to make a precise cut. Slip on my cutter. Nope. Okay. Well, let's go to the metal pipe cutter. I'm just trying to see if I can do this without getting my big old miter box out because it makes a lot of dust. So See if this one will cooperate. This is another pipe cutter. This is the one I would use for this. Definitely will work on this copper. I forgot if how well these work on PVC. So I haven't cut pipe in a long time. So oh, that's working pretty good. So you see, you just clamp it on and then you tighten it, swirl it around, tighten it, swirl it around, tighten it, swirl it around till it pops off. That's one way to cut PVC without creating a giant mess, right? You usually have to sand a little bit if you're looking for a perfectly flat spot, but that's normal. You can also cut the pipe the same way too. I'll show you. These are actually pretty cheap tools too, these pipe cutters. So you don't have to use a metal cutting blade on a power tool. You can just do this. There you go. There's your copper piece. Ta-da! Tools. And I believe this is for making a mark on your piece. Yeah. All right, so what I was thinking is like a base coupling for this tube to go into. PEX, yeah, I use PEX sometimes. Not a lot, but I do use it. I've got PEX for when I want a smaller tube. I have scrap PEX lying around. I don't usually have to go buy it. That's one of the things I steal off job sites. Steal, as I mean, look in the dumpster and see what leftovers they threw in the dumpster. That's what I mean by that. So this looks like it would fit in here. Ooh, so close. It was fitting like that. Can I just turn it? Nope. Okay. It expanded the glue and popped it off. I knew that was going to happen, but that's okay. We'll just re-glue it. Okay. Let's try that again. That glue dried nice and hard. Okay. Too thick. So let's try that on this one. Let's try the copper. Daniel, it's true. All right. There we go. Well, maybe I'll just go with the copper tube. The PVC is a little too thick. That looks pretty cool, though. Actually, that looks cool, the copper against the green. Oh, yes, thank you. That's what it's for. Dick's just reminded me. I haven't had to use it in a long time. This is for deburring the inside of the pipe. So after you cut it, there's like, see these little sharp flange pieces? You stick it in there and twist. And it gets rid of them. Thank you. I couldn't remember what that was for. I'm usually just cutting the pipe. So thank you, sir. Go team, go. All right. Just gonna mark right here. Do the same thing here. Get two identical pieces. Try not to think too hard about it, because when I think too hard about it, I end up exploring 50 other million options for this one little piece and then going back to this one in the end. And I'm like, nope, just go with the thing that works. Don't overcomplicate it. Okay, there we go. There we go. I'll do the thing that it's used for. Thank you for the reminder, sir. 62 likes. Man, we're doing great. I even got to sand this a little bit. Deburr the top a little. Look at that. Oilers makes a ring. pipe cutter strobe light. This is actually a little misshapen from the crimping that was done on the end of it. Or whatever yeah, crimping. Maybe I can get it to reshape a little bit here. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Doot doot. All right. That's actually what I want to do, Fat Bread Foo, exactly what you just described. Something, I was either going to use increments or I was going to take a chunk off and slice slits in it so that light could come through slits. I've done that slit thing before and it looks really cool, but we'll see. I may do a combination of both, or I may just do all rings like you said. That was kind of some vision of that is we're on the same page. Great minds think alike, right? I think everybody here, a lot of us, I think as we're going, I think we have a lot of similar ideas. There we go. That looks cool. Actually, really love the way the copper looks. I was thinking I'd want to paint that, but that copper looks awesome on the green. I might leave that. And then we'll paint the base in this different. So I'll probably assemble this whole tube piece separately, remove it, paint the base and detail, and then glue it back in with like whatever details it needs to have. So, oops, extreme close up. Okay. So, let me see what this, if I do these graduated though too, I might, does this fit in here? So close. Why? Because it would be cool to have some reflective surfaces too. Hey, that fits, okay. I might cut some pieces off this and use these as graduated pieces in here and then even build like a cage around it. Actually, that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do what we just talked about, but I'm going to build a cage with a mesh or a wire mesh. That's what I'm going to do. Okay. So I'm going to cut a piece right here. I'm going to need to scratch that in. Let me grab a little file. Hold on a sec. I knew I saved these for a reason. So I'm going to have it match the level here. There's my little scuff mark right there. Just made with the file at the corner edge of the file there, and then I'll cut another piece up here that's the width of this, or maybe a little taller. Yes, ideas, things. See, this is what happens. Starts to flow, especially with the group think. Thanks, guys, for the suggestions and the talk here and the help with the tools. Sometimes I don't get back around to my tools for years because of what I'm working on, and then I forget. I'm like, wait, what does that do? YouTube. All right. There we go. Yes. That's what I wanted to do. Some type of thing. I had this nebulous idea in my head, and it starts to come together. Once you start messing with the physical pieces and getting tactile, those ideas usually start to they come to fruition for you. I'll probably put another copper ring somewhere else on it, but for this section, I want to do something like it's like in some type of containment thing, or some type of regulated thing that measures the liquid or something. Something like that. Plugging my cable back in here. Okay. So we'll maybe get these set up here and see where we're at. Maybe grab our flock and grass from outside, see if it's dry enough or if it needs some more time. And that's what we'll try to do here. Oh, this one's a little harder to cut. Steel, much harder to cut. There we go. Oilers made another ring. I'm Cyberpunk Man. No, sorry. It's the 5-year-old me, 5-year-old and me coming out. Okay, so put that right there. I will watch my language. Okay. So then this can go through there, yes. Ooh, I could graduate the copper and the chromy steel too. Oh, that's cool. I might do that too. There's too many ideas. Okay, there we go. That ain't gonna fit like that. Go like that. Yep, we're gonna do that. We're gonna do the copper in there as well. So now I need to cut a copper piece that is wider than this piece, which stops halfway through there. So I need to cut a copper piece that's 1 inch. So I need to cut a copper piece. Did I cut that in the right place? I did not. That's okay, that looks fine like that. I'm gonna cut a piece that is 1 1/8. Or no. I just needed to stick up here, huh? Not down there. This is how detail works. So that's 7/8, so 1 inch. 1 inch piece. Let me just see what this looks like here before I continue. Much easier to draw in copper than steel. Okay. We just do this, and if I like this, I'll do this on both, and I'll cut twice the pieces. I should probably put the blade on my mark, huh? There we go. Since we're experts now at using our pipe cutter, thanks to Dick's Slot Car Garage. Thank you, sir. Okay, we slip that in there. There we go. Got a little bit of extra detail popping up there. I didn't cut that exactly straight, did I? Well, this end is not cut straight. We'll flip it like that. Okay. Okie dokie. There we go. So I will probably glue this a little higher up so that this is like right there. Something like that. But I like the way that looks. And then I might put a mesh cage coming from here up to here. So up here I need to cut a piece that is maybe do 1 inch and then do another copper piece. So I'll do the 1 inch. Make sure I like the way this looks. I'm just using my table to measure, and I'm gonna mark my 1 inch right there. Put my cutter on that mark that I just made, which is very hard to see on chrome. There we go. Starting to look good. All right. Thanks, guys, for the 63 likes again. I appreciate you being here. We're a little over 3 hours in. I'll try to wrap it up here soon. But, oops, as I hit my camera. Just wanted to get a good amount of stuff started and going so that it doesn't drag on forever. So we do some of the drag on stuff at the beginning, and then things will go a lot faster later. Almost there. Probably messing up my blade on this, cutting between two different metals, but that's okay. I'm not worried about it. There we go. Lovely. And then make a piece that sticks out a little farther than that. There we go. There we go. There is that piece. I'll probably epoxy these together. I'm not going to get into all that this night, but this is just a fitting basically today. Okay. It's a dress fitting. Say yes to the pipes. Okay. That's looking cool. All right. One ring to rule them all. I guess so. What's your viewership like on your live streams generally, as in how many people do you have watching live? It varies. I think the most I've ever had was like 74 people at once, but it usually is somewhere between like high 20s and high 40s. But that's grown because when I first started, it was at like, you know, less than 10. And I started streaming about a year ago. Most of the live stream watching happens throughout the week after the live stream's over. That's when it starts climbing. So, but I like having people here because then we can interact. You can ask me questions. I can answer them directly. But in the future times, that gets harder to do. But a lot of people like to just listen. I know a lot of folks have told me they listen to my live streams while they're working on their projects later in the week, which I appreciate. So it varies. But I'm having a good time doing this. So I plan on continuing to do this for a long time for now, unless something in my schedule changes dramatically. This is always what I wanted to do on YouTube. I didn't see a lot of people doing live art streaming as much. So I thought it was something that would be a fun niche to fill for people. So that is where we're at. If I do like a wire mesh around this, actually I don't even have to, but let me get some masking tape to hold these things in place really quick. Let me do a little mesh fitting too here before we finish. Figure out what mesh I might want to use. I have a lot of different meshes I've saved for projects like this. Oops, forgot about the copper. Come on, there we go. Okay. I like the way this, did it again. I like the way this looks. Okay, so I have a few different things we can use. That. Have some other ones too. Okay. So I'm just going to use one of these scrap pieces here. To hold this. So this is actually just window screen mesh for blocking the bugs out. So I was thinking about that. I may have to do some lighting tests too to see which one lets light through better. So H flexible hoses. If the gas pump has a hose to pump the fuel. Oh, well, are you talking about a flexible hose that can continue to be flexible? And usually would be kind of an overstatement. I don't usually do that, but I would probably go with just some wire or remove the wire from a heavy-duty coated wire. I haven't exactly worked out what I want to do with this yet, if I want them to be installed in place or flexible wire or tubing. You could use very soft wire. You could use tubing. You could get some tubing like this, which is that coolant AC tubing, but it's thinner stuff. You can get PEX tubing, which somebody mentioned earlier, that is slightly flexible but not super flexible. You could get those Lego bendy tubes. You could get, it kind of looks like this, but it's solid. You could get that cord, no problem. You could get that cord covering plastic stuff that bends. You just get the really small ones. That stuff will bend. It's just got a seam on one side. There's a lot of different things you could try depending on what you want to do. You could get heat shrink tubing, and heat shrink tubing is hollow tubing that you can get. You can use bendy straws. You can use, you can get actual like tubing for like airlines. You can get probably like the tubing for like refrigerator coolant is probably going to be the best bet if you want to I don't know. I haven't used that in a while though. It might be too stiff. I don't know. Oh, sprinkler tubing. For like drip systems on sprinklers. I've used that. I actually have a bunch of that somewhere. I got to find that. I might use that on this diorama. There's a lot of different options for what you want to do. I would encourage you to go maybe buy some scraps or pieces of that at Home Depot and see what you can figure out. Cut O-rings. There you go. Perfect. Cut O-rings. Excellent example. Actually, that's a great idea for a continuously bendy tube. Get a big old O-ring and just slice it. Okay, so little test here. Let me grab something. Where'd it go? I'm looking for vellum. Hold on a sec, guys. Oh, forgot where I put it. Okay. I think it's down here. I don't remember what I did with my vellum. Stencil mat. Where did I put my vellum? Oh, it's in that box with all the thin materials. It's over here. It's in here. Here it is. Vellum. I just need a couple pieces. Here's some of the other mesh that I was talking about. The whatever this is called. This stuff. I forgot what it's called. Somebody help me. This stuff for the knitting stuff, people. I don't like to use this, though, because a lot of people use this, and I feel like it doesn't stand out when I use it because it just looks kind of like the thing that you would use. I like to make use of new things. Coffee stir stick. Oops. I like to make use of new things. Here's some coffee stir sticks. You could use these for tubing and pipes. It's not the metal ones I was thinking of, though. Here's the bigger ones. This stuff doesn't like to accept paint, though, because it's slippery. Yeah, probably not on this diorama. Stuff does not like to accept paint because it is slippy. There you go. Plastic needlepoint. Needlepoint was the word I was trying to think of. All right. It's really flexible and it doesn't like to hold on to paint. So, okay, this is vellum. Vellum. Scissors. Vellum. Okay. I'm just gonna roughly cut this out. These are definitely the wrong scissors for that. Better for string. Okay. And then you roll yourself up a little vellum tubey. And then you put it in here. And you've got yourself a little glowy lightsaber. When you put light in there, it will glow. Okay. Like this. And I just want to see that. How much is that going to glow? Probably too thick. Okay. Yeah, that's too thick. Okay. Too many wraps. Come on. Come on. Too many wraps. Grab another pair of scissors. Okay. Let's try that again. There we go. Yep, that'll glow better. Okay. So then I could just do this with this because this will glow really nice like that. But I was thinking a cage around part of it would be cool. So there is the fine mesh. Here is your gutter mesh that goes in like the gutters around your house. Here is chicken wire. I feel like the chicken wire, maybe, I don't know, maybe the chicken wire at an angle could be kind of cool. I don't know. I'll probably have to figure this out off screen with a bunch of light tests. I don't think I know where my flashlight is. I have a tiny flashlight I use to do little quick light tests. Not sure where I put it. You look really quick. Nope. Yeah, I don't know where my little flashlight is. So what I would do normally is I would turn all the lights off and click a flashlight into this. I had my black light, but I don't know where my regular light is. And I would do a test, and then I would determine if any of these meshes would look good on that. You know, maybe with this removed, then this mesh would look good instead, or even this mesh inside of it. Now that I'm saying that, let me just try that really quick. See if that would look cool. Oh yeah, that's an excellent idea. I've never used it that way, but that's a perfect thing to use it for. Make it small says, what about that grid tape they use for drywall repair? Yeah, that's the tape for seaming the drywall as well. Yeah, it's basically like it's got mesh like this or like that needle point, and you can lay it on as tape and it sticks on because it's already sticky. Yeah, that's a great one. Maybe we'll try some of that. I think I have some of that lying around somewhere. Excellent idea. I know I have some of that around somewhere. I just haven't used it in a long time. That's what I mean. Sometimes you like go so long without using a tool or a material, you have to like relearn how to do it. You're like, how did I do this? And then you're like, oh yeah. It's funny because I listened to interviews with some of these artists and creatives who've made memorable things for memorable films, like the spaceship builders for the original Star Wars, or people who built miniature sets for, 2001: A Space Odyssey or whatever. And you ask them, they're like, man, that was so cool. What did you make that out of? And they're like, I don't know. I don't remember. I just used whatever was laying around. So many of them don't remember every little thing they do because it's just what they're making that day, and they got to find a solution and they move on. And I'm starting to feel like that a little bit as far as like just finding the solution and moving on, because I have so many things that you can see around the shop. I like years go by before I have to use them again, and I forget, what did I do with that? How did I glue that on? And it's like, you should remember because you've done it, but you just don't. So this grid inside of here might look really cool lit up. See if I can find my flashlight. Hold on. I feel like it's over here somewhere. Nope, that's going to take too long to find. All right, let me go grab the stuff from outside. Marco Polo, baby. All right. So these are different lighting tests that I'm going to probably have to do off camera when I find my stupid flashlight, or with my phone light when I'm not streaming through it. Okay. So yeah. All right. These are not dry yet, but they're getting there. So you see how this fiber, there's like lighter colors and darker colors, or the tips and stuff are like a lighter color. That is absolutely perfect. Yeah, Daniel Wesley, sometimes I just walk away from the camera to find something, so forgive me. This is how I do it. It's my ADD. And doing things on the fly. I don't have everything, single thing ready right next to me. Sometimes I don't want to carry the camera everywhere either. That's just some things I don't want to show. So, sorry, hang in there with me. So, lovely. Someone teenager dyed their hair purple and cut their hair in the drain. That's what this looks like. Look at the dye coming out on the fingers. Yay. Still wet. All right. And this is holding its color really well, but it's not dry yet. It's still pretty damp. So I'll just have to leave these out, let them dry overnight. And the kitty litter is looking a little, oh, it's definitely looking richer. I think so. Let me take a look here. Kitty. Where's my stick that I used? I've had this stick sitting in that dye. Look how that turned out. Galaxy colored stick. That looks cool. All right. Yep, those rocks are definitely bluer. So they're still a light blue, but they're not pale light blue. They look like a rich teal to me. Yep, that looks great. Oh, that's cool. This is what I wanted. Perfect. Perfect! They look like turquoise. They literally look like turquoise. Let me see if I can give you guys a better angle. That looks like turquoise. That's awesome. Okay, so I'm going to leave these soaking again some more, probably overnight. I don't think they're going to get much darker than that, but I want to make sure that penetrates the kitty litter as far as possible. And then I will pour this out I'll pour the liquid out actually, because if I don't want to leave the liquid with this while it's drying and let the liquid evaporate, because then it's going to stain and have an uneven color on the outside of the kitty litter. I also don't want to pour this out onto a paper towel and have the paper towel suck the dye out of the kitty litter. So what I'll probably do is I'll probably drain this liquid and then I'll pour the kitty litter out onto a tray and let it dry. I'm saying this because I'm going to continue on with what I just showed with you guys off camera, and I'm going to continue on with these, getting these all dried and ready off camera, and maybe experimenting with some of this mesh, not going a little farther on these, but not too far, so that I can explain what I did when we do the next stream. Maybe we're starting a couple of accessories with some of these pieces, just not going too far ahead so you guys can see the process, but keeping it moving. And I'll drain this liquid and pour this out on a pan and let it dry on its own, maybe tomorrow when I come back into work. But man, that looks awesome. Okay. Hopefully that when that dries, it doesn't change color too much, but this is exactly what I wanted. I wanted the green and metallic colors here with accent colors, and I may even use some fabric drape canopy pieces on some of these. I haven't decided yet. And then I wanted these colors, the purple, the fuchsia red, and the sort of aqua teal blue. I thought that would look very alien, and it would complement the colors of the Cosmic Legion's figures that I got. So, yeah. 66 likes. Execute order like 66 like something or other. Should have thought that through before I said anything. Okay, thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate you very much. Thanks for sticking with me. Thanks for your suggestions. Thanks for reminding me how to use some of these tools. If you're watching in the future times, if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, ideas, complaints, Jordan or Euler, your mustache looks stupid, just let me know below. And thank you to the new channel members. Thank you to the channel members who have been here for 16 and 17 months and 6 months. I really appreciate it, guys. And I'll keep sharing whatever I can that's meaningful when I can. I don't like sharing the same boring old stuff. I like to try to keep it new and fresh whenever I can for people, or a different angle. And that's why we're doing this diorama the way we're doing it, because it's something I want to do that will keep me creatively interested and having fun, which will make it fun for you, and you get to see all kinds of new stuff. I'll be at IMOMA next year. That's imomalv.com if you want to check out who's already registered for the event as far as sellers and presenters. They're going to keep registering probably through November, so that's going to keep growing like it did last year. And when I get those Cosmic Legions figures, I'll film an unboxing and throw it up on the channel. But yeah, otherwise, you guys are awesome. We'll see you next time. Be kind to each other.